Welcome to this edition of Hindsight is Horrifying, the show where two mostly normal and somewhat cynical adults discuss life as members of the TV generation. Now, here are your hosts, Garth Jada and Jason Mitchell.
Hello, and welcome back.
Welcome back indeed, Hindsighters, to Disaster Month on Hindsight is Horrifying.
It is Disaster Month.
Pretty fitting for 2020, I would say.
It's disaster year. We're just distilling it down to 1 month.
That's actually, yeah.
hang on a second. There we go. Your camera was, that was really weird. Your camera was showing an empty seat.
Oh my
I don't know. That was kind
Are
of.
we in frame? Do we need
No,
to
you're good now. You're good now.
There's
That
a ghost in the
was a little
machine,
spooky,
right?
actually. That was very strange.
We've been dead for 30 years, Jason.
Oh my God, I knew it.
I knew it at the beginning of the podcast. They were dead.
So we are back. Guess what? We're doing something nautically themed. It's like we've never done that before.
Even when we do airplane themes, we wear nautical wear. So
yeah, that's true.
We're such idiots on this show.
We are, of course, back. Oops.
You might want to turn the sound off of that movie there, Jason.
Hang on. I'm not used to having the.
Is this it right here?
We were watching some YouTube videos before we got around to the podcast, Hindsighters, so we apologize for Jason's utter lack of professionalism.
Irwin Allen. I love Irwin Allen. Sorry, I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's Jade's purview. But you may recognize that music. Oh, it's such a great composition.
That was a great shot of my arm.
Was it John Williams who did the music?
Yes, it was.
John Williams.
Oh,
Yeah.
I knew it.
It's a magnificent movie. We are this day discussing. And I said James Irwin before. James Irwin was an astronaut. We're doing Irwin Allen's
I was
production.
about to say.
Yeah, Irwin Allen's production of the Poseidon Adventure.
Woo, from 1972.
Way back in 1972, a movie about a ship that sinks.
What? It's that simple? I don't think it is that simple.
It's pretty straightforward.
Google
Yeah.
had more to say about this than you did.
Tell us about it.
So the synopsis is, en route from New York City, you can just say New York, to Greece on New Year's Eve, majestic passenger ship the SS Poseidon is overtaken by a tidal wave. With the captain, Leslie Nielsen, which we'll talk about that more
Oh
in a
yeah,
minute.
lots to say about
And
that.
spoiler alert in the synopsis, with the captain Leslie Nielsen dead, surviving passengers, including the passionate Reverend Scott, Gene Hackman, band together in the ship's ballroom. The group struggles to avert fires, flooding, structural instability, and mechanical malfunctions as they make their way through a maze of ladders and tunnels in their desperate attempt to escape a watery grave.
And this is a movie that is most memorable. First of all, I love this movie. Absolutely love it.
This was my first time seeing it, actually. I had never seen this one. I saw the one from 2006.
I've
back
never
in 2006.
I've never seen the one from 2006. Never saw the remake.
It
No,
was
nor
not
did I.
memorable. I couldn't even tell you who was in it. I'd have to look it up.
Kurt Russell.
Probably.
That's all I know. I know
I'll look it
Kurt
up.
Russell was in it.
But say your piece, and I'll look
Yeah.
up who was in the.
No, this is a
2006
movie
version.
that to me is defined by the people who are in it, because this cast
Absolutely.
is
Brilliant.
If I could just have this cast get together in, like, when I die and go to heaven, and just every year
not
just
going to
have these
heaven.
people. Yeah, probably not.
Get real.
These people make another movie every year with just the same cast: Shelley Winters, Ernest Borgnine, the great Gene Hackman, Leslie Nielsen, Red Buttons.
You have 5 Oscar winners
Five
in this movie.
5 Oscar
It's
winners.
stacked with talent.
Yes.
Bob Hastings. Don't forget
Yeah,
about Bob
yeah.
Hastings.
Roddy McDowell.
Oh,
Yes.
Roddy McDowell, who
yes.
Roddy McDowell dies so early, though. It makes me sad.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
By falling in the water. I don't.
Leslie Nielsen dies surprisingly early too.
Well-
and what's really strange to me about this is because Leslie Nielsen is a fantastic comedic actor. That's how I've known him and looked at him my entire life.
Yeah.
He's very good at playing comedy roles straight, but this is the first movie where I've seen him in a serious role.
Yeah.
Where he plays it straight because it is serious,
It
not
is,
because
yeah.
he's actually trying to be satiric.
And it's
You never seen The Forbidden Planet?
No, I haven't.
oh, Forbidden
No?
Really?
Oh, I
It's-
think we have to.
Yeah, we need
put
to
that
do
on the
Forbidden
docket.
Planet.
Maybe eventually.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Schlocky,
the-
schlocky
Schlocktastic.
sci-fi. Yeah.
But before we get
Oh, and
too
can I
deep
just
into
say, it's a movie that has a kid in it that I don't hate.
yes,
Which is
Robin.
I
Yep.
think Robin is the only kid I've ever seen in a movie that I didn't just hate him.
I don't
the whole
know.
time.
Like the kids, he kind of reminded me of the little boy in Jurassic Park. He had a lot of know-how that actually
point.
helped people through their, the
Yeah.
obstacles that they were facing.
Yeah.
So I would say that in Jurassic Park, those are the two kids that I hate the least. But
When you listen to him, did his voice sound familiar at
Yes.
all?
Yeah.
should it have?
Who was he?
He was the only one of the Shea brothers. He's one of the Shea brothers that was not one of the Peanuts characters in, in Charles Schultz Peanuts. So if you listen to his voice, he sounds like Linus.
I can see
I would
that.
not have put that together because I haven't watched the Peanuts in a long time. But that's really cool.
I can totally see that.
But
But thank goodness for the nerdy kid who knows everything about the
Yes,
ship because he
yes.
helped them get to the
yeah, he's-
Well, but he did hang around too long in one of the in the bathroom and almost got
every kid.
who did he almost get killed? Was it Gene Hackman?
Yeah, it was Gene
went
Hackman.
after him,
Hackman
yeah.
Hackman
after
went
him.
after him. Yeah.
Hackman saves everybody in this movie about 40 times.
The
at least.
Greeks don't come across very well in this movie.
They do not. And
they do not.
I wrote that in my notebook. I was like, what do you expect to happen to a ship named after a god that is named after, pretty much every disaster at sea possible?
Irwin Allen's wife plays the.
is that right?
The
She's the
yeah,
nurse?
that's Irwin Allen's wife.
I did
Okay.
not know that.
In this scene, I love the Rogos.
Yes.
I
The
love
Rogos are pretty great.
They are.
Because you do have the great Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah.
So
who is like, I look at him and it's like, yep, that's like my granddad.
who's married to a former prostitute.
Yes,
He's
a retired
policeman.
prostitute. Yes.
A retired prostitute.
Hang on a second, I didn't put your lower third on it. Nobody knows who you are yet. There you go.
Hi, everybody.
There you go.
In case you don't know my handle or my actual name at this point, it's been like 2 years since we started
I know,
this
but
nonsense?
I always forget to do that though.
Oh,
And,
you know who I am.
and also
anyway.
subscribe.
Yes, press the button.
Yeah, press the button.
Press it
You
now.
Bunch of slack-jawed idiots.
But okay, so the movie's a little bit misleading, not just in title, because it makes it sound like an action adventure movie, which it sort of is. But
The
it's-
movie poster has an upside down ship on it.
It does.
It's basically, that's what it is.
It does. That's true, and it has its own ride at Universal, doesn't it? Isn't the Poseidon Adventure like in one of those experiences at least? I don't think there's really a ship involved.
If there was,
I have to look that up,
If there
too.
was, they got rid of it.
There's a Poseidon themed something at one of the parks.
They got rid of Jaws.
I
They
know,
got rid
my
of,
God.
Yeah, Universal's
They
got
got
basically.
rid of Back
It's
to the Future.
did they?
Yes.
Oh, for God's sakes!
In lieu of The Simpsons.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
I love The Simpsons, though, but
Yeah,
Back to the Future, come on.
but the thing is, though, with the Simpsons, now Disney owns them, so that's awkward. No, the Universal got rid of everything. It's basically Transformers,
Dr.
Harry
Seuss.
Potter, Dr. Seuss, and oddly enough, Men
Harry
in Black.
Potter is its own. Well, it's sort of split
Yeah.
between two different parks. But
That's
yeah.
true, yeah.
Oh,
The-
Poseidon's Fury. Sorry, I misspoke. But it is called Poseidon's Fury. It's like one of those
It has
ride slash
nothing. It
adventures.
has
that
nothing to
kinda-
do with.
It had the word Poseidon in it. I'm sorry.
Well,
anyway,
now, I'll tell you, when I first saw this movie, I didn't understand what Ernest Borgnine's wife was so worried about.
oh, she's got
Yeah.
a great line about that
Yeah.
too.
She was afraid that she would be recognized as
Yes,
being a former
yes.
prostitute.
By one of her
which,
former Johns.
I must say, if she were a real prostitute, she would know that Johns forget their faces
Yeah.
30 seconds after they leave because they're only really interested in one part of their body.
Well,
Cold blooded.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Blooded.
let's be honest. Let's be honest. Unless she gave him
I
something,
know you like that.
then he
John,
might
but-
remember. But
Gave him not a gift,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
another
yes.
gift.
Oh,
if
God.
Here's my IUD.
But no,
It fell out.
But
my first after college job, my my username in our computer system, the first it was 3 letters and 3 numbers, and it was IUD. And I went, you got to be
Yeah,
kidding me.
I know.
no. So the retired prostitute now turned wife. To
Not Shelley
the-
Winters,
Not
Okay.
Shelley Winters is not the prostitute in this story.
the star of the movie, in my opinion.
It is
Her-
Stella Stevens.
Yeah.
Also known as Linda Rogo. Linda! Hi, May. But she does have that great line that I wrote down where she was worried about being recognized, and she said that she saw one of the younger officers on deck earlier in the day, and she goes, he looked darn familiar, even with his clothes on.
How many people did you sleep with, lady?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
aren't sailors, you can tell us this.
yeah, I was about to say, why are you asking me?
I don't know. Aren't
sailors-
sailors really into prostitutes? This would have heard.
Word would have it. I've heard
Are they really
from a
into
friend.
prostitutes? They're big fans.
Yes.
Hey,
Wow, that's a pun.
I make my puns where I
intended.
can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of silly, but it does establish the character of Linda, who, and I've never read the book, but the story I heard, I saw a documentary about the cast sort of doing a retrospective, the surviving members of the cast, which there's not a lot.
No, I couldn't even
Linda
find a lot of
Rogo
research about this.
And the smoking ass hot 18-year-old.
Pamela Sue Anderson.
Holy crap.
I love that he just had that ready to go.
Yeah, it was in the chamber.
Well, no, but she's Nancy Drew.
Yeah, she's Nancy Drew. She's been in a bunch of stuff.
You an avid fan of Nancy Drew, Mr. Brown?
No, not really. No, a friend is.
But he just
Speaking
okay.
on behalf of a friend.
Nancy Drew and the
I
Mystery
prefer
of the
the
Sinking
Hardy
Ship.
Boys. No, I'm not
Do
the
you?
other. I'm not the other Adam.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Whoa.
Damn.
Shade thrown. We would like to note that did not come from Jason or Darth. That was all Mr. Brown. You
Anyway.
shady
I mean, I
fool.
agree with it. But,
yeah,
Oh, God.
you know.
Anyway.
No. But they were both, they were on this documentary, and the Linda Rogo, I can't remember her name, she said that
Stella.
Stevens.
Irwin went up to her and said, "Have you read the book?" And she said, and she was like kind of bashful, sheepish about it. She said, "No, I haven't read the book before." And he said, "Good. Don't read the book, because everyone who reads the book hates your character."
Oh, my.
Ooh, okay.
And
Apparently, a lot of the characters had more eccentricities and more
Yeah.
bad traits about them in the book.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Apparently everybody hated her. I think she just came across as just a bitch in the book. And,
well, she comes across as a bitch in the movie, too.
Yeah, but she
She calls Shelley Winters a fat ass. That is straight
Yeah.
bitchiness, is what that is.
poor Shelley Winters, she gained
35 pounds.
35 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And she said that after this movie, she was never able to get rid of the 35 pounds.
Nope, she could never get back to her original figure. That's such a bummer.
Leslie
Be committed to your
Nielsen.
craft like that. And this is such a typical formulaic move in every ship disaster movie ever. The captain wants to proceed with caution, and there's somebody sort of looming over him that doesn't allow him to do his
But
job.
does that even make a difference?
When
the
a
fact that
tidal
they're
wave
going-
hits you, no.
That's what I'm
with,
saying.
With
Yeah.
the Titanic, yeah, it made sense to go more slowly and not, rush to New York. But in this case, what were they going to do regardless? I mean, an earthquake causes a tidal wave, which capsizes their ships. So nothing was going to happen differently.
I've been in that room before. That's on the Queen Mary. Yeah,
That's
in Long
right,
Beach.
yes.
Which is
Yeah.
what this story is loosely based on,
Yeah.
anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, because the Queen Mary, well, the apocryphal version, I don't know if it's true, was that during the war, it was hit by a wave,
war.
and if it had gone over, they claim, 5 more inches, it would have capsized.
Oof.
Maybe that's true.
What a great story.
But I mean, it is interesting to think of a ship that size.
But it's funny because this movie is pretty classic 70s in the sense that it does take a hot minute to really get into the action. You've got a
'cause
lot of
There's
sort
character
of,
development.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
character.
you,
It's
yeah, you've
character
got quite a bit
development.
of it.
We can't have that today.
I mean,
And-
look, you've got Noni playing with
Noni.
the band from the Muppets.
What's a Fraggle? Fraggle Rock.
And you set up the whole dynamic between Robin and his older
Yes.
sister. And
Yes.
he's the annoying pain in the ass little brother, but he's a sponge. He wants to soak up everything there is to know about this ship,
Yeah.
and he learns
He's a cool kid.
all of the most important details
Yeah.
that guide Gene Hackman to rescuing the crew that he does get to save.
See, I think that's one reason why I like him, and I think he and the kid from Jurassic Park are the only 2 kids
Tim.
I've ever. Tim, yeah. Because most of the time you see a kid in a movie and you think, I love my kid, I hate all other kids.
We were talking about this
yeah.
off camera, where it's like on Sex and the City. You're not going to defend children? No, I don't like any children but my own.
But Robin and Tim from Jurassic Park
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, no, if my kid acted like that,
I'd be all right with it.
that'd be fine if my kid at that age was, he's
They're eager to learn. They might be a little bit of a smart ass, but
he's a survivor. I'll give you that much.
That's true.
Everyone else died. 6 people on the whole ship live.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
there is a
6.
sequel. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a little bit of a different story though. But you get this bratty little
shove it, shove it.
Yeah, shove it, and you say that to his older sister, and you think
I
that's,
love Gene Hackman's sermon here, by the way.
It is great. So what's he talking about here, Jason? Give
He's
us a little
talking
bit
about
of a
God.
taste.
God wants you to try. Get off your damn ass and try.
Don't pray to God to help you with your problems. Pray to God through the part of God that's part of you. And he's really just like preaching to the strong, saying, you know, only the strong survive. And ironically enough, he's got to help a group of people survive later.
And he, you know, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the
Foreshadowing.
movie, you
it's
know, I mean,
foreshadowing.
it ultimately he has to live what he's preaching.
Yep.
You know, because he does ultimately at the end of the movie die,
Mm-hmm.
but he dies saving them and basically saying, you know, God, what was it? What was the line like? We didn't ask you to fight for us, but why'd you have to fight against us?
Just leave us alone.
Yeah, just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Because everything that could go wrong.
Yeah,
Absolutely
did go wrong.
Murphy's
Yes,
law of
yes.
a capsizing. And it's funny because all these things, and Roger Ebert pointed this out in this very snarky snark in the Snarky Bunch review that he wrote about this movie.
Yeah, tell us about this.
It surprised me. He's very sarcastic throughout, saying that, you know, all these formulaic things had to happen, and you know, you have to have some sort of method of transportation. Something has to go horribly wrong. You have to have this character development, and that, like, he goes through it pretty, you know, meanly. Where
kind of hard to have a ship disaster movie without a ship.
I know, but he
You know.
mentioned that there was like a movie with a Volkswagen bus with a maniac at the wheel and a midget in the glove compartment with a cherry bomb or something at some point.
Whoa,
These are his
I want to
words.
see this movie.
Yeah, I know. We should,
Was that Dirty Harry? I can't remember.
he's just kind of nodding to the fact that disaster movies just kept coming out, and it's all
Yeah.
the same kind of formula. And it doesn't even matter if you're on the
Well-
VW bus or whatever.
well,
it's all the same
yeah,
kind
because
of
I mean,
formula.
this movie in a way it didn't begin it, but it was
the ramp up.
It was the ramp up,
Absolutely.
But then the sequel was the end of the disaster. Hang on a second, I'm just gonna pause for a second. and watch
check
this
out
thing. I just-
what's her name,
this movie had so
Stella
many.
Stevens in that nightgown, which
Yeah,
is
that-
barely
my.
concealing
That's
her
a-
chest. Yeah.
That's a nice nightgown. I approve of that.
So I'll talk for a minute while you guys just stare at the screen. But to answer your question, Jason, Roger Ebert was talking about a gigantic wall of water heading directly for the ship. It hits precisely at midnight on New Year's Eve, and splish splash, they're all taking a bath. He was just really sarcastic about this movie.
He might have had an argument with his wife just
Yeah.
before he did that. You know,
very
there's always backstories going on. But I did. I mean, talk about a great cast, though. Oh my
Oh
god,
yeah,
I love Ernest Borgnine.
Ernest
One of
Dominic
the many Oscar
Santini
winners.
Borgnine.
Marnie.
from
Yeah.
Escape from New York and Gattaca, and you got
Oh my God,
Gene Hackman
everything.
from The Birdcage, Behind Enemy Lines, Wyatt Earp, like
French Connection. He had just won the Academy
Ants,
Award,
which we covered on our show.
Ants, yeah. he had just won the Academy Award. I think when the movie was in production, he won the Academy Award for the French Connection.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Okay.
which I mean,
yeah, I
French
remember,
Connection. Holy shit! I mean, if you want to see an acting movie, Gene Hackman, Roy Scheider,
Oh yeah.
just
Yeah.
acting the crap
That's a
out of
tough combo to
everything.
beat.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you did not just him, but Red Buttons was an Oscar winner
Oh,
along with
Red
Shelley Winner,
Buttons.
Jack Albertson.
Yeah.
So you got all these people. And Roger Ebert did point that out too. He was like, "Yeah, so Gene Hackman manages to save the Oscar winners all at the beginning,
Yeah, well, that's good.
along with the other stars of the movie, and everybody else dies."
Well, and you know, it's one of those things where no matter what Roger Ebert says about you, all you have to do is go highest grossing movie of the year, and it really doesn't matter.
Yes, because do you know what the budget versus the box office?
No,
was
I don't
on
know
this
what the
movie?
numbers were, no.
It's
Talk
to us.
insane. It
What?
cost $4.7 million to make, and it grossed $125 million.
Wow.
Yes.
Irwin Allen's career did not
Yes.
end over this one.
No, absolutely
The
not.
executives.
yeah, he
That's
did
why I was
fine,
surprised
yeah.
because it hit all the boxes for success, and yet Roger Ebert is sitting here and he's like, one of the things he said is
he was just trying to be contrary.
I guess
you know?
so. He's like you, is what you're saying.
Ooh.
So as soon
Kinda.
as something's popular,
Kinda.
he doesn't give an F
yeah,
about it.
you know.
Like, yeah, he even says something about like Jack Albertson is AKA Uncle Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
AKA Chico and the Man.
Yes, there's that. But I the first time I ever saw him
a
was
racy
in Willy
movie.
Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Racy.
Well, you
with
know,
the,
Ernest
yeah.
Borgnine has an interesting history. He enlisted in the Navy right out of high school.
Oh, so he's a personal hero of yours.
Well, I love Ernest Borgnine.
McHale's Navy, actually.
Because not only was he a real Navy guy, he played one on TV quite well. And so he was discharged from the Navy in October of 1941.
What?
October.
Wow.
Lucky son of a.
But really close.
Yeah.
God.
But after immediately went right back
course he
in
did.
and
What
served
a
until
badass.
1945.
Yeah, of course he did.
And he got out and he went home. And his mom was, like, oh, you did great. You were in the war, blah, blah, blah. But after about a week and a half, it's like, well,
yeah.
we're tired of you sitting at home. What are you going to do? And, the dad was just like, well, why don't you go work at the local factory? And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. And his mother was like, you love having attention and you're just so big. Your character's so big. Why don't you try to do theater?
Whose
Of course,
mother in the history of the ever
I
wanted
know.
their kid to go into theater?
10 years later,
10 years?
10 years later, he accepted his first Academy Award.
Wow.
Yeah.
From I don't remember who the actress was. It was a very famous actor, but he beat Spencer Tracy. He beat James Cagney.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Ernest Borgnine was a
impressive.
man.
Oh,
And he lived a very long life, and he was acting damn near up to the day he died.
Was it?
oh yeah, he died at 95.
Yeah. I mean, well, what was the last thing I saw Ernest Borgnine? Well,
Well, he was in SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Hi, Marie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Never want to think of that.
Last
Again,
Ernest
But anyway, so
Borgnine movie.
consequently, I've always adored him. My dad loved McHale's Navy. I loved McHale's Navy.
Oh, when I was a kid, Airwolf.
Oh, Airwolf,
I mean,
another good one.
That was
yeah.
just the coolest thing in the world because it was you had this young hotshot pilot up there, but then you had Ernest Borgnine in the back who fixed everything when it broke. And he always reminded me a lot of my granddad. My granddad had a gaff in his teeth, and he looked like Ernest Borgnine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Oh, and not to interrupt you, Jason, but you were talking about lines in this movie, and you said there was one that you remembered, but then when you rewatched it, it wasn't in the movie. My favorite one, we just passed it, is when Shelley Winters and her husband are sitting at the table with this guy taking multiple pills for
Red buttons.
virility and all
Red
these
buttons,
different
yeah.
reasons. They were like, well, what advice would you give younger people or something? And he goes, never become a haberdasher.
Well, see, and I liked his character because it isn't stated. Because in the scene you're talking about, they said something about being married, and he's like, "Oh,
I don't
I'd
have
like
the
to be married, but
time."
I don't have the time."
He runs his haberdashery
Yeah.
and he doesn't have time.
But then at the end, not at the end, but towards the end, when he's talking to Noni,
Yeah.
and she's lost her brother, and he's saying, no, you will learn to get over it. You'll learn to go on with your life, and it's sort of like he had somebody. It's really heavily implied, but I like the fact that they don't explicitly say it.
yeah,
But
there's
it's like,
not a ton of exposition just dumped on
there
you
was
with this
someone
story.
in his past that he loved who died,
Mm-hmm.
and he's
And he says it feels like you'll never
Yeah.
get over it at first,
Right.
but then you find new people, you find new things, and you
Right.
learn to move past it. So yeah, he's clearly got experience.
How
in
would you
that
like to be
realm.
sitting at that table?
Oh, God,
How cool would that be?
Oh.
it'd be pretty awesome.
I mean, and Gene Hackman's still badass.
Well, and he's the
You
most
know.
cursingest reverend I've ever seen.
Well,
in my
speaking
life.
speaking of cursing, one of the things I never caught until I watched it yesterday, and remembering that this is 1972.
that he's drinking too.
Well, no. The part when the Reverend when he tells Mr. Scott tells Rogo, go help him with the tree,
Yeah,
the big Christmas tree. They're gonna move the Christmas tree and set it up so they can climb up
yeah,
there.
which Ebert
And when-
said was conveniently made out of like aluminum tubing or something. He was like, "So lucky that worked out,
Wah,
right?"
wah.
Ah, screw you,
I'm
Ebert.
tired.
told you he
I'm
was
tired of
super-
him.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
super
Enough
snarky about
enough
it.
of him.
Yeah.
Enough of him. But no, whenever Ernest Borgnine went to pick up the tree, he didn't realize how heavy the tree was, the actual prop tree was. And you
Very
can
heavy.
hear in the movie, Ernest Borgnine going, "Fuck, that's heavy." And it's very, very soft, but they left it in the movie. And I
Oh,
was
that's
thinking,
great.
this has got to be the first, it wasn't R-rated, I'm sure, but they slipped that by, and
That's funny.
it's a movie that I don't even know 1972. What was the rating system even like back then?
Who knows?
There was just
wasn't one.
PG, R,
Yeah.
and X.
I
That
guess it was
one.
just PG.
That was
Yeah,
back when
probably.
Husky was still a clothes
Husky.
size. No, okay, so I've got a question for you both. Does the younger, not the younger sister, because the brother's the younger one, but does the sister have a thing for Gene Hackman
Yes.
in this
Oh,
movie?
yeah.
Absolutely.
she's in love with him.
Yeah, okay. I
She's
thought
absolutely
so.
in love with
She
him.
is so in love with him.
Because she's like, she's
I
sort
was
of
in love with him.
well, who hasn't? But,
I mean, think about it.
She's watching him across the
Yeah.
ballroom at first, and then even when he splits off, when the group is kind of divisive about where they want to move forward and how they want to navigate the ship and escape, she follows him when he ventures off on his own.
Well,
And she's like, I just feel safer around you. And then when he dies, she freaks out, and she's the only one. Everybody's sad, but she loses
she
her
loses it.
mind.
Well,
Yeah.
there was a lot of physicality between the two of them.
There was.
There's a lot of physicality.
I
Yeah.
think
thought he's a priest, that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was some
Easy, Reverend.
the sort of the impression I got was that because their parents are mentioned because the two kids
Yeah, the dad sends a telegram
Yeah,
at the beginning, but
because
you
they're
never
in
see their
France
parents.
or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, which is weird because the ship's going to Greece. So I don't
Who knows?
whatever.
Maybe they're all going to meet up in Greece at some point.
Yeah. But it's sort of like I don't know. I guess in 1972 you could do a story like this where it's sort of like budding sexuality plus father figure plus horrible, dangerous, life-threatening situation.
Missing parents.
Missing.
Who knows
yeah,
what their
yeah.
relationship was?
I
Because
could-
if her mom had
yeah.
been around, she would have nipped that in the
She would have
bud.
put
and
a
just-
stop to it.
yeah,
well, her
just-
mom would have died.
Well, probably,
they
that's true.
Would have died.
It's like y'all's 1942 movie, or that movie that y'all
1941.
1941, is that what it is? That y'all never stop
With the-
crowing about?
Oh, the Spielberg. Yeah,
Yes.
with
John
Jim-
Belushi.
John Belushi.
John
and-
Belushi.
No.
Dan Aykroyd.
The one you mentioned on Smokey and the Bandit, where the younger kid sleeps with the lady whose husband died.
Oh,
in the
Summer of 42.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Summer of
see? I was
42.
close.
Yeah, very different movie.
Yeah, I was
Very
like, no,
different.
not 40. No.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so disaster is about to strike. There was a really bad earthquake off of the coast of Crete, and that causes
In the shallows.
and that causes the tidal wave, which then in turn capsizes the Poseidon.
Now, if they had turned hard port
Yeah.
earlier and took it straight on, they would not have
I
capsized.
agree.
Really?
I think they would have made it.
Capsized,
Yeah, I really do.
Absolutely.
It would have been a very fun ride, but
Yeah.
A lot of people would have gotten sick.
Well, because they had the watertight doors, everything was buttoned up. They say that it's like we're I don't remember what the line was.
Well,
tight as a
ship-
drum.
A ship can pitch at an extraordinary angle. It can't roll more than 45 to 50 degrees before a top-heavy ship will capsize, and that's what happened here. Because remember, the pumps were out to bring in the ballast,
Right.
so they had a low ballast situation, so they were top-heavy, and that's what turned them over. But the set must have been pretty cool that actually turned over.
Sorry,
like
Gene
that.
Hackman is just like pimping out in the corner over there with one lady on each arm in the ballroom.
The set that they used, and it's amazing that it only cost $4 million to make this movie.
Yeah.
What they did was they had a set that was modeled after the Queen Mary ballroom, and it could actually roll almost 45 degrees. But the way they had the set built was that they could then
Take it off and
they
turn
they
it
could
over
turn
further.
it
Yeah.
and then reset it so that the ceiling was the floor. And so you'll notice in the scene when the wave actually hits,
Mm-hmm.
it's a combination of the set literally going over 45 degrees, and then a bunch of camera tricks. And they do stuff where they'll have an actor sliding and they have a rope on like a chair or a table next to
Got
them.
it. Okay.
And so there's somebody off camera pulling
So
the
many
rope
practical
down.
effects that they had to pull. 'Cause
Yeah.
And it does, in that one little sense, when the ship capsized, it did remind me of Titanic, because I remember being scarred by that scene, watching people drop hundreds of feet
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
when the ship
Yeah.
tilted up in the air. Oh, God. Even this, like with the more practical effects that were a little dated, it was still rough to watch.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, at the end of the movie, when I watched it last night, I mean, I had tears in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
It has some poignant moments.
It's yeah. So the set.
Yeah, so-
the set is rolling,
Mm-hmm.
and what an amazing set, because that is an exact replica of the ballroom
That is
on the
impressive.
Queen Mary. How the hell did they do this for $4 million?
In 72.
I
$4 million went
yeah,
a
it was
lot
a lot. It was
further
a, yeah, it
than
did.
it would
It went a
today.
lot further.
Whereas just the dragons on Game
Well,
of
that-
Thrones probably
You
cost
see
that
the
much
MC there? His
Yeah.
name is Bob Hastings. Do you any of you know the significance of him?
I know that name, but I don't know why.
Tell us.
All right.
I'm gonna leave it on this camera so we can see, but I can still see you two.
Yeah, you can
but
see the
I-
disaster
I
in
want
the
to see the
back.
disaster. The poor guy, the poor actor getting soaked in the Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Radio Shack. But do tell.
So Bob Hastings played Lieutenant Leroy Carpenter, who was Captain Binghamton's lapdog in McHale's Navy. So both Ernest Borgnine and Bob Hastings were
Oh.
reunited here.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Now I had this kind of story in my head, right? It's kind of comical because actors, they can be catty.
You think?
Never.
A lot of them on
I
this.
don't know
A
what you're
lot of them on
talking
this
about.
set were.
I can only
Well,
imagine.
well, Ernest Borgnine was a very giving actor, but just say that he was one of those actors that was just looked down on all this, the more less the leading actors, the more supporting actors, like Bob Hastings.
See
Go
the
ahead.
well, sorry. I was
Oh, yeah,
gonna
there
say,
they go. Yeah.
Like the tables, you'll see stuff sliding down,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a guy with a rope pulling it. You know.
But I'm thinking, Sterling Silliphant or whoever, the producer, handed out the scripts and got it mixed up, and he told Bob Hastings that he was actually playing Drogo. No, I'm just making this up now. And that Ernest Borgnine was playing the MC. He's like, finally, I'm going to show Ernie my real acting chops. And they get down to their first stage reading. It's like, oh, I'm the MC, and when do I die?
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah. Very,
Pretty much
very
immediately.
quickly. Yeah.
But it must have been cool to get them back together.
Oh man.
A couple of things about the production of the movie that I thought were really cool. One was they, as you are both well aware, typically in a movie, you don't film the movie in sequence.
Right.
no,
Yeah.
almost never.
Yeah, I mean, in Ghostbusters, the first time they ever filmed Bill Murray.
With Bill Murray,
Yeah,
it was-
was when they were running down the street in the middle of the movie.
Mhm.
In this movie, they shot it entirely in sequence.
Really?
Ooh.
And one of the reasons...
Now I really don't understand how they did
Well,
it for only 4.7 million.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
That's crazy.
One of the reasons they did it is so that throughout the production, the clothes that they wore were naturally just getting ripped up and dirty, and they were actually getting injured. Like in the production of the movie, the actual
the
cast was
director-
getting injured.
The director wanted
And-
them doing their own stunts
Yeah.
whenever humanly possible. Like,
The very few of the stunts were done by stuntmen. When Roddy McDowall died, that was a stuntman.
okay.
And because he said in the interview I saw with Roddy McDowall, he said, when you watch that scene, you don't understand that stuntman was falling down a 40-foot shaft, and if he had been off a little bit one way or the other, he was going to hit the wall and die.
Right.
Oh god.
But no, they filmed it in sequence.
Which is
And-
that's so amazing because like even on shows like The Walking Dead that have to have that kind of continuity with clothes ripping and like the guy who plays Rick, he wore the same boots for years to the point he wouldn't let them replace them. He was like, "No, just sew up the bottoms. Just keep sewing them up because I don't
Well, it
want them
makes
to look
sense.
different." So that kind of continuity, I guess it's worth it to
Yeah.
shoot in sequence in that.
Well,
just makes sense.
and you have all these method actors. The guy. Oh, yeah, sorry.
The guy pinned underneath
pinned
the debris.
underneath the debris. Yeah.
Somebody help me.
Like Shelley Winters, she had one scene where she swam,
Uh-huh.
but she trained with an Olympic swimmer
Did she really?
just so that she obviously she knew she wasn't going to look like an Olympic swimmer, but she wanted to look like somebody who used to swim.
Yeah, because she even does have that line where
Yeah.
she's like, just because I've put on a little weight doesn't mean I wasn't
Yeah.
once an athlete.
30, 35 pounds,
Mhm.
and she claimed she
Never
could
bounced
never,
back,
never,
yeah.
never bounced them back.
Well, after
Yeah.
a certain age, when you gain that kind of weight, it's really hard to take it back off.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
Tick-
I'm living that firsthand.
TikTok, TikTok.
TikTok, Clarice. But yeah, and then Noni finds out that her brother has died in the capsizing.
Dr. Tooth.
What? Oh,
Oh, he's
Muppet-
making
it's
a
a
Muppet
Muppet
reference.
joke.
Oh,
Old
okay.
too.
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
Gene Hackman is sort of helping this
I'm
guy.
dying.
Yeah.
It's-
I'm not
it's-
dead yet.
It's Janice from. And it's like, did they base that band off of them? Because she looks like Janice, the Muppet.
Oh my god, she kind of does.
She totally. Oh my god.
that didn't even know that. Yeah, the one.
Yeah, it's Janice.
With
yeah.
like the share hair, where
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god,
yeah.
yep.
I mean,
They might have gotten that
Yeah.
idea. The timing was about.
there's a
about
deleted
right.
scene actually where Animal died.
I thought you said unanimal at first, and I
No,
was like,
animal.
You bastard.
The drummer. And, and there's the purser. Just stay here.
No. But yeah, you
Yeah, the
have fun
purser
having
gets
that
his
stuck in your heads for the rest of
the
your lives.
the purser gets his comeuppance real fast.
Let's just call him
does.
Gopher.
Yeah, yeah, real damn fast.
Yeah,
I'm with
That's
you.
what that's it needs Captain Steuben.
Yeah, because I mean, and that's a really hard call to make. I mean,
Totally, yeah.
especially when you don't know anything about the ship or the structural, integrity of it. Why are you just going to listen to a random reverend?
Did you find yourself asking, what would I do in this situation?
I was going to
throughout.
ask you both,
Yes.
not just that, but like, what movie star would you want leading you out of a crisis like this? Would it be because like in Deep Blue Sea, Samuel L. Jackson was disappointed that they killed his character off, and he was like, because in a movie, who's going to lead you out of there? Samuel L. Jackson is, because he's
he's not.
Sometimes he is.
No, he's not.
He's a leading man.
Yeah.
He said that in an interview about
Mel
Rennie Harlan.
Gibson.
Oh yeah, I'd follow Mel Gibson.
I'd
anywhere.
follow Mel Gibson into hell.
Follow him anywhere. Yeah. So okay, what about you, Mr. Brown?
Don Johnson leads me everywhere.
Oh my God.
No, wait a minute. No, I know.
Or maybe Philip
no.
Michael Thomas, if I was.
No.
Who is it?
Charlton Heston.
Oh yeah,
Easy.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
that's
one.
true.
If it was,
he could part water.
exactly.
He
yeah.
could. He could
He's got
shoot
super-
zombies
Yeah.
in I Am Legend.
I mean, pretty much in any scenario, if it's, people who know everything about boats and how boats work versus Charlton Heston,
I'm gonna follow
going with
Charlton
Charlton
Heston.
Did you ever see the movie I Am Legend?
you mean the Omega Man?
I didn't
that's
see.
it.
No, I've never seen the Omega Man. I've seen I Am Legend with Will Smith, and I'll never watch it again because of the German Shepherd that dies.
That is heartbreaking.
It was horrible.
Omega Man's good, though.
I loved Omega,
I
Man,
read-
which is
I-
a remake of another I Am Legend from like the 60s.
Oh,
I
is
think.
it?
Yeah.
I read the book,
Now I want to see the original.
Yeah.
but I never saw Omega Man. No. So yeah, Mel Gibson would be my vote for sure, or probably Burt Reynolds. I'd follow Burt Reynolds in a crisis.
He
Yeah.
is. Burt Reynolds is cool though. He would have quippy one-liners as he.
Yeah,
is.
he'd keep things lighthearted as he's helping you through the obstacles.
Yeah, he wouldn't give. Yeah.
Like when Shelley Winters pipes up and she's like, "I used to be the hoop shoot champ."
Whooped it.
Or the hoop shoot champ. And he'd be like, "Really? You?"
I'm going with Gator McCluskey. No, it's what was the other thing I was thinking about from a production standpoint? The actors were. You said something before about the chemistry, between the different actors. Shelley Winters and the actor who played her husband apparently hated each other.
Really?
And
Jack Albertson?
Jack Albertson. And somebody
Uncle
asked
Joe.
him, "What was your favorite part in the movie, or what was your favorite
When
part?"
Shelley Winters
When-
died?
that's what he
Oh,
said.
no.
It was my favorite part was when she died.
That's horrible. Oh.
That was the only time I saw him smile in the whole film.
Yeah. And Mrs. Rogo, she said that her big regret from the movie is that she didn't keep the pair of panties she wore, because she said, "I could sell that on eBay and make a fortune."
Absolutely, she could.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember as a kid seeing that movie. It's like, oh, I see underwear.
Yeah.
It was very exciting.
Pink panties,
Yeah. Yes,
as
it's very
we've brought up
exciting.
before on the show, Jason. You know what I'm referring to. But yeah, so Gene Hackman kind of takes charge. And it's funny because you were talking about the purser, and he was like, he's sitting there and he's such a snob about his job. He's like, everyone thinks the captain is in charge of the ship when really it's me. It's because all this ship is a hotel. with-
Well, I mean, if you've ever been on a
About
cruise,
astern.
if you've been on a cruise and you talk to the cruise director, they actually do think that. They sort of think like the captain is the guy who, oh yeah, he's the ceremonial
He
head.
steers
He
the ship.
He steers the ship. We need to take a break.
Yes, we
and
do.
when we get back, I'm going to talk about the weird Mandela effect experience that I had with this movie,
Absolutely.
which was very bizarre. And we'll be back in about 1 second. And we're back.
Hi,
And we're
everybody.
still watching the Poseidon Adventure, and the ship is still sinking.
Well, it's a long ass movie.
Yeah, we're not going to be
First of
watching the
all.
entire movie with you guys. We do have a life
Oh,
outside of you.
wait, you
know,
do?
shut up.
Oh.
They don't know.
He's got scale models to build in his back cave.
I've
later,
got
okay?
cold macaroni and cheese to eat. Damn it!
And a Sherman tank to finish.
Yes. It's been too damn hot. I haven't been able to get into my workshop for like a week.
My legendary macaroni and cheese was requested for a family gathering this weekend, so I'll be busting that out. Oh, and here's a proposition. Now
Whoa,
that,
I'm a married man.
oh, gross.
Oh,
No,
no,
but-
no, you don't have to say that. Okay, that's the
Hey,
other
if you're
extreme.
gonna start, I'm taking you down. But no, so something that I have to interject in this whole, thing right now is Dragon Con has been canceled. And anybody who's known me for more than 5 seconds realizes that this is the cancellation of my highest of holy holidays, and your beloved Darth is devastated.
You'll notice my hand near the wah wah sound, but I'm not going to play.
But if you recall,
no, I said I'm.
What did
I said I'm not going to.
Heard a sound.
now, Darth? What did you send in your text about other holidays? Something about married people,
Stupid
and
married
kids?
people and stupid children that they have. That all the holidays are for them. Dragon Con is the one holiday that I get to celebrate as a.
Married man with children, I will give Larry Miller. You know where I'm going with this. The only vacation a man has when he's married with children
Holiday, not vacation.
is once he seals up that car and walks from the passenger side to the driver's side. It's like, wow, that was a great vacation. And then you go and it's over.
Yeah, that's
Well,
it.
It's so true.
It's
So quit your whining. You get a
No.
vacation or a holiday all the time.
It's
So you
not-
happen to miss one.
You are equating vacation and holiday, and I'm not right now. So no, gentlemen, even my mother texted me to tell me how sorry she was that Dragon Con was canceled. She was like, "Hey, sweetheart, did you see they canceled your thing?" And I was like, "Yes." I'm weeping in a corner in my house right now. And she goes, "Oh, I know, baby. I'm sorry." And I was like, "It's okay. I'm 32. I should be past this."
Well,
but
yeah, that's
I'm
the
not.
thing. Well, that's the thing. You learn as you get older not to have expectations.
Not all of us are quite in the
just-
doldrumish existence that you are, Jason.
I still remember that day when I sat in that movie theater and I saw that
Jar Jar
Star
Binks.
Wars logo, and
I knew
that was
you
the
were
death
doing
of any sort of joy and happiness.
How old
and
were you when that happened? When the light went out of your eyes?
I was in college. I was probably a sophomore.
At least
Okay.
he made it to
College?
college.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. He made it.
Oh no, I would have been like Skid Row.
You would have been living in a box next
would've
to. Dick
I would have gotten a
Cronenberg.
job on a steamer and I would have sailed to Greece with Gene Hackman.
You probably would have met Mr. Brown earlier in life in that case.
Probably so.
Yes.
But
Would have been good.
No,
we would
'cause-
have worked together.
anybody who's ever known me knows not to
help
invite
us.
me anywhere on Labor Day.
Trouble and
weekend.
coal.
Speaking
How
of
old
work,
is the ship that you're on? Yeesh.
they still use. Well, not really. Speaking of ships, what is the
And what do we have going on here in the studio today?
we have a device, an object.
Well, most of our viewers know I like to get into costume when I come here,
Why
just
are you
to
looking at me when you say that?
to liven things up. Well, it was hard. This is a 70s movie. I didn't have any more turtlenecks. I could have been Gene Hackman. So I thought, well, it's the Poseidon Adventure. So I was a submariner at one time. My boat was the USS Lafayette, which happened
what?
to be a Poseidon boat. We started out as a Polaris missile system, and then we graduated to the Poseidon missile system, and then I became an instructor. And before they closed down our training courses, this was on a shelf. This is an inner gimbal assembly for a Poseidon missile. So
If anyone at the National Security Agency is watching,
yes,
We had nothing to do with this. Darth and Jason are innocent.
I have no idea what that is.
well, I trained commanding officers, executive officers, and weapons officers, and I actually hosted the very last class that they had before they decommissioned all of our boats. So this was on a shelf, so I just kind of,
Tucked and ran.
no one noticed it was gone. And now I have it
As-
proudly displayed. Oh, in addition, wait, there's something
okay.
else.
But so he brought several props with him today, and none of them are scary.
When
This
I
is
was
so
a young
cool.
lad, my dad took me to see Ernest Borgnine. I don't know if you can see this. As in a one-man show, an offer you can't refuse. And I was like a little 10-year-old, Mr. Borgnine, could you sign my poster? And he did right there. It looks like he said Ernest Bong, but it says Ernest Borgnine.
That is the coolest damn thing.
And Samuel Galu, who was the playwright.
pretty
And
awesome.
it was great. And he was so gracious. He was so friendly.
Lift it up. What does it say? A
Yeah,
Cosa,
lift
a
it up, 'cause
Cosa
I don't-
Nostra
I don't
book
think they
club
can see.
selection.
Yes.
That's awesome.
An offer you can't refuse is Bon Tempo.
Gotta
It was
love
it was amazing. Like I said, I have a thing for Ernest Borgnine because he was a naval
And-
served in the Navy as did I.
And he was cool.
twice.
He was cool when you met him.
Oh my God, super cool. Because you never know when these celebrities come out. And I didn't know as a kid, he was an Academy Award winner. And he just came right up to me and I was just like, Mr. Borgnine, I love you. Give me that thing, And he just, Ernest Borgnine, and then Samuel Galu, thank you for coming. And they were gracious, they were friendly. And he was larger than life, even
I can
backstage.
imagine.
He was amazing.
He was a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to love
Yeah.
it when your Hollywood idols are actually nice people, much like Mr. Carey Elways, which I'll never shut up about. But yeah, it's always a positive thing when you get to meet some of your heroes.
Oh no, he's like dead.
Yeah, Nani's a little bit. Did she get hit in the head really hard because she's, or is
Well,
she just
her
in
brother,
shock?
her brother just died right in
Well, a
front
lot
of
of
her.
people just died, but she's,
Oh my God, is that?
what? What just happened?
Jesus Christ! What are you complaining? Your brother died. Lots of people just died.
Half the passengers just died. And
My best friend just exploded. Oh, don't be sentimental. Things explode all the time.
get over it. We need to survive. Climb the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
But
He's gone. Just let him go. Come on. He's only
hey,
been a
if
part
Rose
of
can
your
let
life.
Jack
Yeah.
sink
Your
into
whole
that
life.
icy Atlantic water,
I was
then
about to
Nani
say
can leave her brother under that
you would be
table.
the person going, "Get off me, Jack!" Oh, his hand came off.
Frozen bastard.
Ooh, a bauble.
I'm glad I found that necklace in your coat pocket.
I am so not going to drop this in the water when I'm a senile 90-something-year-old.
Nope, never. But yeah, there is an important piece of jewelry in this movie as well. Actually, that's a nice little connection there
Yeah,
to
there is. Yeah.
Shelley Winters.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't really bring up the whole thing with Shelley Winters and her husband.
Because
Yeah,
this
why
is the
they're on the
last time I'll
ship.
bring up Mr. Ebert because he did mention that. Oh yeah, Jack Albertson and Shelley Winters say a couple of Yiddish words and they won't shut up about their grandchildren, just in case you weren't concerned about them being Jewish. Like they really hit that hard in the beginning, is what he's saying.
So,
'Cause
like
they're
every
going to
Jewish
Israel.
grandmother in the world,
I guess so.
that's pretty much says a couple of Yiddish words and won't shut up about her grandkids.
Yeah,
So a totally believable Jewish grandmother.
yeah. And
Okay.
she's got this necklace that she keeps trying to pawn off on Jack Albertson, her husband, to give to their grandson because from the get-go, she's ready to give up.
Yeah.
Because she's complaining. I had to point this out. I was like, of course, leave it to a woman to complain about her weight in the middle of a life-threatening crisis. Because she keeps bringing up the fact that she's too fat to climb. She's too fat to fit through this shaft that they're climbing through, like anything. It's just, she keeps talking about it.
And it's kind of an interesting commentary on American society. It's similar to, I don't know if either of you have ever read any of the Nero Wolfe books.
No, negative.
Nero Wolfe is he's a fictional
friend,
detective written by a guy named Rex Stout. Great books. There was a great TV series. Oh God, the guy from Leverage.
I'll find it out.
You know the TV series. Crap.
I'll find it out. Don't worry.
Anyway, yeah, he made a TV series out of it years ago. But the whole character of Nero Wolfe, he's fat. Like that's the thing. He doesn't leave his house. He's fat, and people always walk into his office and are like, "Oh my God, you're fat," and he's like 250.
It looks like it's just called Nero Wolfe.
Yeah, but Timothy Hutton. Timothy Hutton was
I
Timothy
thought it was
Nero
Hutton.
No, he played Archie Goodwin, who was
I was
Nero
about to
Wolfe's.
say, that doesn't look like
But
him.
he was the executive producer. He was the
Oh,
creator.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I love
It was
Timothy
a
Hutton.
Timothy Hutton production, basically.
Gotcha.
But
One of my famous favorite detectives was Cannon. William Conrad, a very big man, but a huge man. But anyway, I interrupt. Go ahead.
But so it's like in the books, they're always like people are walking into the office and going, "Oh my God, you're so fat!" And it's like in 2020, no one would even notice.
No.
And like Shelley Winters in this movie, it's like, oh, she's fat. Oh,
And it's not like she's morbidly obese.
not
She's
No.
just-
really.
She's healthy.
She's not fat. You know, it's a very different world
is.
that we live in
Well,
today.
and you're comparing her to what, an 18-year-old and a prostitute who,
Yeah.
they weigh significantly less than she
And,
does. But
you know-
she's a grandma. That's what grandmas are supposed to look like.
I think also Shelley Winters was probably her character knew she was going to die because Shelley Winters had a history of dying in water in movies.
Did she?
Oh, Night of the
I don't-
she like 5 times.
Because I know she's like in
Night of the
Lolita
Hunter,
and a
she-
Nutty
she
Professor.
drowned.
She didn't die in those movies.
No, she drowned in Night of the Hunter. She drowned. In fact, actually, Roger Ebert, oddly enough, he wrote after she died. He wrote a very nice piece about her, sort of a retrospective on Shelley Winters, and that was one of the things he said. It was she actually one of her quotes was, "Underwater, I'm a superstar," because she died so many times in water.
Well, she even has that line in this movie because she goes, "Underwater, I'm a much younger woman."
Yeah,
Like so, she was.
and she does it by God.
She was adamant
Yeah,
about
she saved
helping
him.
Gene
Yeah.
Hackman because he's the only one who's really progressing them along the ship and really making an active attempt to save them and get them over these obstacles. And she's like, no, this is something that I know how to do.
Well,
let me help you.
And even that is such an interesting thing, because watching this, particularly later on in the movie, when the group of our heroes are going to go one way and they run into people who are headed towards the bow. And Gene Hackman is so absolutely committed.
Yeah.
It's like God is telling him,
He's
go to
just
the
like a channel.
go to the stern.
Yep. Because
And
he has no logistical, he's
he
got
has
no
no
logical
reason-
reason to
no.
know, except for what Robin is telling him. He goes, the steel is only 1 inch thick.
Yeah, but
where we
Ernest
wanna
Borgnine
go.
is right. An inch of steel?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what are we
but
going to
that's
do?
better than 2 inches of steel, is what
Yes.
Gene Hackman says.
Yeah.
And he gets everybody out of the ballroom, and he even sticks around to try and get the last of the stragglers to go with him because the purser won't let. He's like, no, they're gonna come and rescue us. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. But then they clamor on each other, and you hear, that was one of the poignant moments when a woman's screaming like, "Get off me! Get off me! Don't climb on me!" or something
Yeah.
like that when she's drowning in the water.
If you look even at his dialogue, like when he's telling the people to leave the ballroom, and he says, if you stay here, you'll certainly die. And it's such a biblical, like John the Baptist, Moses sort
Yeah,
of
he's up
like
on the
one-
mountain
He's up on
preaching
top
down
of this
to
thing,
people,
yelling at them,
yeah.
if you stay here, thou shalt certainly die. And it's so interesting because he's a character who's so angry with God. He's so mad with God.
Which are why his sermons aren't that inspirational to everyone because he's just preaching so one-sided.
He preaches to the strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before we forget, Jason, you were mentioning before our break that this movie has a Mandela effect.
Yes,
So
yes,
what is it
yes.
that you were going to say about that?
Is the weirdest thing. So I haven't seen this movie in probably 20 years. I saw it several times when I was a kid. I loved it. Maybe not 20 years. I probably saw it. I saw it in college, I'm sure.
Okay.
But for years now, and okay, first of all, the Mandela effect, for those of you who don't know, is
I was about to say we might want to
yeah.
explain that.
There was, the very short version of it is, there was a group of people, I believe journalists, who were at a convention or some sort of an event, and one of the journalists said something about the funeral of Nelson Mandela.
Mm-hmm.
The person he was talking to said, "What are you talking about? Nelson Mandela is not dead." At the time, Nelson Mandela was alive.
Right.
And these journalists are talking, and half of the people in the room very, very clearly remember watching on TV the funeral of Nelson Mandela. The other half of the people are totally bewildered, saying, you couldn't have, he's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave rise to this thing called the Mandela effect, which people have interpreted it a million different ways. But basically, it's when you remember something, something happened a certain way.
Right.
And then you find out never occurred. There's lots of little examples. Like, do you remember when you were kids, the children's books about the bears?
The Berenstein versus the Bernstein
Do you remember
bears?
those? The
Berenstein Bears, of course, yes.
don't exist. Berenstain.
Oh, Berenstain.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
I always called them
Yeah.
the Berenstein Bears.
Me too.
So,
Everyone has. So there's all these different things where people talk about, like, well, I know that this happened this way.
mhm.
The Monopoly guy, the little.
Little guy with the monocle. Isn't he have a monocle?
He has
He
glasses.
does not have a
Oh,
monocle.
no.
That's actually one of them. People remember it.
That
I
was-
remember. I remembered
Yes.
it.
Oh, and this pertains to
Yeah.
our show specifically. Gentlemen, does Alf have a tail or not?
No tail.
No,
He absolutely does have a tail.
you are shitting me.
No, Alf has a tail. I learned that listening to. I always knew
Alf
that he had
has
a
a
tail.
tail?
Alf has a tail. It's like this little short, stuffy tail that he's got. It's not like a big, long dog waggy tail, but he definitely has one.
Does Seinfeld have a tail?
I hope not.
He does. It's called the coccyx.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is that
No.
what they're calling it? these
So,
days?
so
That was the back tail, not the front tail.
basically, the Mandela effect is, people will say, oh, well, it's like different timelines, and people will take it to, extremes. And there are legitimately some pretty big examples that make people go, what? In this case, in this movie, for years, I used to say, one of, if not my favorite line in a movie ever was at the end of the movie,
Of the Poseidon Adventure.
somebody says, well, what I always remembered was that at the end of the movie, somebody says to Noni, oh yeah, he does have a tail. She says, after they get out of the ship, after they cut the hole in the ship and they get out, the sun is rising, and she says, "Isn't it? It's a beautiful sunrise." And I distinctly remember somebody saying to her, words to the effect of, "Sweetie, they're all beautiful sunrises. You're just not old enough to realize it yet." And that line has stuck with me for years because I love that. To me, that's like, yeah, that's it. That's like such a beautiful thought. They're all beautiful sunrises.
Didn't happen?
It's not in the movie.
No, it isn't. I watched
not
it this
in the
afternoon,
movie.
and you're right. It's
not in the movie.
You have mentioned that line though in a previous episode.
I have said
Was it
it.
in reference to this?
It was in reference to that movie.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, like, because was it in the sequel? Maybe, like,
Possibly.
did Sally Field say that to
Well, it's kind of
somebody
like-
at the end of Beyond the Poseidon Adventure?
Well, and it's the same effect. Interesting that you bring up Sally Field, how people quote her as saying, "You love me, you really love me," and she never said
it.
that.
Yeah.
She said something similar,
Yeah.
but she never said it exactly.
Beam me
that
up,
way.
Scotty.
Nope, never got
said it. Joe Friday saying "Just the facts, ma'am." Never said it.
Marsha really only got said, I think, once or twice on the Brady Bunch. But people, whenever they talk
That's
about
all they know,
Jan,
yeah.
Marsha.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So there's all these little things that we remember, and it
And it can be wildly polarizing. Like, you
yeah.
get into fights with your friends over these
like,
kinds of conversations.
one that I always thought, well, that one didn't do it for me, was the peanut butter brand that starts with a J.
Jif.
Jiffy?
If not,
That's it. Look,
choosy mothers choose Jif.
what? And you said Jiffy.
I said Jiffy, that's right.
It's
one is
Jif.
Is it?
It's Jif.
Oh, man.
You thought it was Jiffy?
I thought it was
See,
Jiffy.
Jiffy is a brand of European condoms, by the way.
Oh, maybe that's what you're thinking of.
And if it, hey,
Most
maybe
assuredly.
Choosy moms.
choose Jiffy. No, and their tagline was,
No, they're not moms if they're choosy.
Well, that's true.
if you want to be spiffy, come in a Jiffy. Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome. That's the
my
most.
God.
That is the most.
my God,
That's the
Adam.
most brilliant tagline ever. They need to make a car called the Jiffy,
Yes.
just so they can use that.
It's polite. It's right.
It's Mr. Sneezy.
Good night.
Achoo.
No, the Jif versus Jiffy one, because whenever that was one of the examples I read, and I went, well, it's Jif. I don't remember it being Jiffy, but then I said that to somebody else, and they said, no, it's Jiffy.
I've always
And
called
I'm-
it Jiffy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then again, I mean, people, it's not just the Mandela effect. People will kind of free associate some words. Like with me, I can never remember hamburger helper. I don't call it that at home. I call it beefaroni. And Josh knows what I'm talking about, but
Beefaroni's a thing, though, isn't it?
it is. They're two
Yeah,
completely different
yeah.
things, but for whatever reason, hamburger helper just doesn't stick in my head. So when I'm cooking, I'll text Josh. I'm like, "Hey, we're having beefaroni tonight," and he's like, "Cool," and he knows I'm talking about
Yeah.
hamburger helper. So
God,
it's just
I
it's
love
funny
it. I
how
love
your
Hamburger
memory.
Helper. In college, that was like my staple food. Me and my roommates,
Not
we
ramen.
would get no. That was when we would pool our money together, and we'd get.
You had to pool your money for a box of hamburger helper.
It
Yeah,
was
in
like,
college.
it's like stovetop stuffing. We all love stovetop stuffing.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to cook you
All
fellas
I
a decent
wanted
meal.
was
at
a
some
goddamn stovetop stuffing.
I know, right?
goodness. Yeah, it is funny how that works. And
So now they're making their way through the kitchen.
yes.
A lot of really
a lot of dead
hot-
folks.
They went through
hot
the galley.
areas, the galley.
A lot of hot pants too.
Yeah, get it together, Sam.
Yeah,
A lot of hot
I should have
pants.
known that. The mess decks. And
Yeah.
this whole thing going up the staircase upside down, they needed to pull Shelley Winters up
They needed to pull all of them
and
up.
everyone up. But you'll notice Gene
But-
Hackman just goes right up.
Yeah, because he's
such a
Gene
stud.
fucking Hackman.
Damn you, Gene Hackman.
He's the Mel Gibson.
Hey, he almost killed Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven. Almost.
Really?
Almost.
Ooh, that's
How?
right. He was a bad.
He was the
guy.
bad guy in Unforgiven.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
thought
was-
you meant
yeah.
like maybe it was like a set mistake.
No,
or
no,
something.
no,
And I
no,
was like,
no,
I've never
no,
heard this story.
no.
So-
He was the bad guy in Unforgiven.
No,
Well,
I know
yeah.
that, but I thought you meant it was like a Brandon Lee like mistake with a weapon or something like that. So I thought there was a story behind that.
Good Lord, that was a good movie.
But yeah, so they're climbing. Well, Gene Hackman climbs the stairs on his own, but everybody else is a little too, I don't know, not in shape enough to make that happen.
I feel like I could do it.
Yeah,
I could do
well,
it.
especially
I
if there
feel
are
like I could do
rails
it.
on either side, you could pull yourself up. pretty
Especially if it
easily.
was, you're going to die if you don't.
Yeah,
I could probably get
and then
myself
when the
up there.
water starts rushing in behind them, where they've crossed the galley, and now then they start freaking out. They're like, the water's coming. It's coming to get us. And it's like, okay, well then hustle your ass up the stairs. You find a little athleticism when the adrenaline really kicks in.
I'm so glad at no point in the movie did a shark manage to make its way in.
No.
I was
Thank
thinking
goodness.
that.
Thank
Oh my
goodness.
God. No, because
That's what they would do if they made it today.
Especially when they get into that circular shaft with the ladder. It's just like in
It's
Deep Blue
I know.
Sea.
And that
it's
is-
the exact same situation.
That scene in Deep Blue Sea, I don't know. You know, every once in a while you see something, and even though it looks totally fake and stupid, like it sticks with you.
Oh God, yeah.
When she gets killed,
Anne Heche, when
I hate
Rennie Harlan even talked about that because that was such a that was a difficult practical effect for them to achieve because it's a mechanical shark that they're working with, and Anne Heche is literally like riding it like a bull and
Yeah.
it's biting her in half.
Yeah.
Oh my! And Tom Jane is trying to grab her out of the water, and his face when that shark goes back into
We've
the
got
water
to do.
with her.
We need to do that soon.
Well, I think
we need to
after
do that soon.
Disaster Month, we need to do like Animal Disaster Month. So
Okay.
Katie wants to do
okay,
Jurassic
animal
Park. We
movies.
could do like Deep Blue Sea.
I don't want to do Jurassic Park.
We could
It's
do
too,
Ben.
It's too good. It's
Willard.
fun.
Did you ever see
yeah.
Willard?
Oh yeah. Oh, Willard with the rats.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
I
yeah.
blocked that one out. Ugh,
That's a messed up movie.
gross.
Yeah.
But we could do all sorts. There are all sorts of animal disaster movies. We could definitely make that happen.
So here's Ernest Borgnine pulling up Shelley Winters with no help from the other two.
the little the kids are helping him. It's fun.
They're acting like they're helping
Yes.
him.
Well,
Ernest
Akers,
Borgnine is
okay,
doing
let's
it.
talk about Akers because he's the Scottish porter on the ship
porter, yeah, something like that.
with a weird accent.
Well,
and-
he's Scottish and sometimes he's Irish.
Yeah, he
and
can't really
sometimes he's
figure
American.
it out. But he's injured. He's severely cut open or burned his leg, some combo when the ship capsized. So Gene Hackman is kind of taking responsibility for him, and meanwhile he's like, Rogo, get everybody else up here. Like, I'm gonna go open the next door. So he tries to put some responsibility on the next able-bodied man. And
Yeah.
Rogo is just bitching and moaning the entire way through the ship. Just
It's
Yeah.
his personality.
It
It's
is.
just the way he is.
It
I
is.
guess.
And Ernest Borgnine, you can tell Ernest Borgnine really had fun with a lot of the acting. He actually,
sure.
he said his favorite scene to film in the whole movie was after his wife died. When he just freaks out.
I thought you said that about Jack Albertson.
Well, no.
Well, no.
He
Jack
liked it
Albertson,
when Shelley died because he didn't have to deal with
He
her
just liked
anymore?
it because he didn't have to deal with Shelley
Got
Winters
it.
anymore. Ernest Borgnine just loved the scene where he was like screaming
You
at
killed
Gene,
her.
"You
You killed
murdered
her."
her, preacher!"
Yeah, that's
You know.
sad. But
There's got to be a morning after.
there's
Ah!
a surprisingly sweet story between Ernest Borgnine and his wife in this movie because, like we said, she's a retired prostitute and he's
retired.
You said retired.
I know. It's just
but
She's limited her, her clientele to one.
one.
well. Fortunately, Henry Winkler set her up with a part ownership in a burger joint. That's how they can afford to
yes.
go on this trip.
we just
Cross,
the
crisscross, crisscross.
crisscross.
Night
No,
shift.
but when they're arguing in
Oh, she's crying.
The unofficial prequel to the Poseidon.
oh my god, no, the hooker, the burger shop that led to the ticket purchase of the Poseidon Cribs.
Oh my god.
That was awesome.
Same universe.
Yep, same universe. But they do have kind of a sweet backstory because you find out that the wife
Sorry, now I'm just thinking of when the ship goes over, seeing Michael Keaton fall flat, dressed in
splatting like Tarzan. The ground broke my fall, Chuck. Oh, the ship broke my fall there, Reverend. Awesome.
That would sap all the drama.
I want to
It
see
would
Michael
become a
Keaton in that
comedy.
Tarzan outfit, just like wandering around the ship now, and just in his red chucks.
Well, do you know who played who starred in the TV version remake of Poseidon Adventure?
No.
Steve Gutenberg.
Yes, I love me some Gutenberg.
Go on, and one of the lesser Baldwins was the Gene Hackman character.
Billy,
I think
Adam, Stephen.
I think it was Adam. Which one was in Firefly?
Adam.
I think it was Adam Baldwin.
That was he was Jane.
Go on YouTube and look for the.
No, see, I'd follow Adam Baldwin through a crisis too.
I would too. I like
Yeah,
that. No,
he's-
I actually like the other Baldwins.
Yeah.
I hate Alec, but I love the other Baldwins.
What are you gonna do?
But no, go on YouTube and look for they have the
put it in the show notes.
the ending of the TV version of the
God.
Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, no.
They actually show the ship sinking.
Like, how
in the
long do they
end.
want that TV show to go on? It's about a sinking ship.
Well, it was a TV movie.
Oh,
It
I
was a
thought you
T-
said
no,
TV
sorry,
show,
sorry.
and I got
no,
confused.
my mistake. It was TV movie, but
Gotcha.
it's a horribly computer generated ship sinking,
Oh, my.
and it keeps cutting back to like Steve Gutenberg looking off sadly and then it cuts
The
back
captain
to
goes down
like
with
a
the ship.
bad PlayStation ship sinking.
Aw.
It's
Unlike
terrible.
Leslie Nielsen, who got to go out like a man getting pulverized by millions of gallons
Fuck
of
yeah.
water.
That's the way to go. It's quick.
It is. That's what I hear. But
I am serious, and don't call me the captain.
But Borgnine and his wife. So you get this backstory where she's so afraid of being recognized by one of her former Johns, and the husband, he's like, if I cared about that, I wouldn't have married you in the first place. So it doesn't matter. Even if somebody does recognize you, who cares? And then she's like, well, you're the dirty cop who arrested me like 6 times. And he's like, well, yeah. I had to get you off the street
That's
so
a
that you
great
would
scene.
marry me eventually. And she's like, oh, you
Yeah.
big dumb.
I had to figure
Like,
out a way. I had
it's
to
actually
figure out a
kinda
way
sweet.
of keeping you off the streets until you'd marry me.
Yeah.
And
she
what's great in that scene is Borgnine and her, the transitions that they both show from being just totally angry. When
you see the tenderness that's
Yeah.
a part of their relationship.
when I was in film school, my directing teacher, he said, "If you
What's the motivation?
well, no, no,
Okay.
he said when you do an audition, the best thing you can do is try to give them something that goes from one to the other and watch them transition. And if they can do that, hire them.
Yep.
That
makes sense.
And like you see that with Borgnine, like at the end when he's so happy that they cut the hole in the ship, and he's totally excited, and then
He's elated.
and then he
yeah.
looks back, and you can see him remembering the fact that, oh, my wife's dead,
Yeah.
and it's smooth as glass.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
absolutely wonderful.
Because he does sort of take on the hero,
Yeah.
actions after Gene Hackman is gone. And what is the character's name who's got Nani in tow the entire time? What is his name?
Red Buttons.
Red Buttons.
Red Buttons.
I don't
Okay.
even, yeah.
I don't know the
Yeah.
character's name. I could look it up. But he's like, hey, Gene Hackman told you. You've got to get everybody through this. You've been bitching and beefing the entire time. Get off your ass and make this happen. And that's
a great
the first
scene.
time he has like a really tough guy moment of his own, except for the time that he like dragged Nani through 35 feet of water to get her out.
Yeah.
So I mean, that works out pretty well. They've got a good dynamic, and they're probably going to wind up together after
Yeah.
this movie is over.
Well, this whole movie is sort of an example of a certain kind of person that doesn't exist anymore in movies. It's like when Gene Hackman, when Shelley Winters dies, and the husband,
that moment got
Yeah.
me. Oh.
yeah, and her husband, is telling Gene Hackman, I need to say goodbye, and Gene Hackman's like, you've got 1 minute.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
You got to make
it
it
was-
fast.
Make
It's
it
like
fast.
it's like a wartime
It is,
decision.
yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. like
Yeah.
I'm getting your ass out of here.
Right.
Well,
But-
he did the same thing as what had to happen with Nani and her brother. Red Buttons had to be like, listen, we've got to go. He's dead. You've got to settle on that right now. That I wasn't trying to be harsh with that earlier, but that's what he had to tell
Yeah.
her to get her to move her ass.
Yeah.
And save her own life. And that line that keeps coming back where all life is important.
Yes.
Oh, that was
Yes.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because and what was especially sad, I would say that Shelley Winter's death is the saddest one in the entire movie.
I agree with you.
Because you get this really hopeful moment where, because she's kind of a sad sack there for a minute, and they need to drag her and push her and convince her to go along with them to save her own life as well. Then she accomplishes something and she achieves her goal and she saves Gene Hackman's life.
Yeah.
And then she has a freaking heart attack.
Yeah.
What is that?
She at the end of her life, she died saving somebody,
Yep.
and she's
who was going to save the others?
yeah, and her whole character is based on that symbol for life. And you have to think.
That
I mean,
and her swimming medal that she just
Yeah,
wears
yeah.
many years later.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
another thing
yeah.
Ebert brought up. He was like, because why wouldn't you be wearing that swimming medal? Like,
you know,
why not?
I'm still wearing this hat.
yeah,
I mean, I'm wearing your other hat, so I guess I can't really talk that
my
much.
my
much
my
crap
mom
about it.
my mom has been a housewife for 50 something years, and she still has the medal that she won when
being the hoop shoot chat.
No, she when she was in school to be a legal secretary, and she won a little medal for being the best typist. And she
Was
still
she a shorthand girl?
and she still she was she used to do steno and all that stuff. I mean it's 53 years ago, But she still has that medal, and it's
proud of that
and she's
accomplishment.
damn proud of that medal. So it's sort of like I actually thought of that when Shelley Winters took the swimming medal out. I'm like, yeah, I could see my mom doing that.
Well, it's your glory days. You want to hang on to that.
And also, this is what 1972.
72.
Yeah.
So let's assume that Shelley Winters' character is
She's like 45, 48, 50. So like
Let's
52.
Say she's got to be a little up there because she is a grandma. She
okay.
doesn't make
So
specific
let's
mention of
let's
that.
just say, to make the math easy, she's 52,
Okay.
which would mean that she was born in 1920.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. A Jewish person born in 1920 going to see your kids who are in your child and grandchild in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were about 30 or you were 19 when the Second World War began. You know how many of her relatives died? And
how
they
hard
never,
of a life has she had saving up at their little
Yeah.
hardware store to even be able to go
Yeah.
see her own kids?
But but that's the thing, they don't ever hit it on the head. The word Holocaust is never mentioned,
No.
but it's just sort of left there, like
It's still on the periphery. Like it's
it's a part of her character.
Yeah.
It's a part of his
absolutely.
character too. That life is important because
Mhm.
believe you me, it can go like
Can
that.
change so quickly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I remember in the opening scene when the little boy goes by or something. No, it was Red
Red Buttons, and
goes
he's-
running by, and she starts talking about how much she's looking forward to seeing her grandchild, who she's never seen. And I was just like, oh, I know what's going to happen to her. My heart
Yeah.
just sank because you know how much she wanted to see.
Oh, yeah, that's all
that
she wanted.
grandchild. That was her whole life.
Yeah.
And nobody else had a goal beyond this vacation that they're on the
Yeah.
ship.
Yeah.
Besides her and her husband, but she's the one who keeps hitting on it.
Yeah.
And even she and Robin, the little boy, kind of make a special little bond because at first, when they're talking about pulling her up the stairs, he's like, "Oh, I helped my dad pull in a 600-pound marlin off the coast of wherever," and
Which
then
is a
later,
big ass marlin, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's an impressive.
That's a big marlin.
That's an old
Yeah.
man in the sea kind of marlin right there. But later, he's so sweet, and he was like, "Mrs. Rosen, I'm awful sorry. I didn't mean to compare you to the fish and say that you were that big." And she's like, "All this, and that's what
Yeah.
you're worried about?" I was like, "You've been talking about how fat you are this
Yeah.
entire time. Apparently, that's all anybody can focus on." So it just,
I just, this scene, I had this thought. You ever seen the paintings of the Dance Macabre?
yes,
This scene,
that wouldn't have occurred to me, but okay.
because all the people, they're just sort of like they're walking towards death.
They're like
and
zombie-esque, yeah.
And they're almost zombie-esque. And you've got the one guy who, he's not a bad guy, but
He's a doctor.
The doctor.
Doctor, yeah.
Because in as much as people don't like to think that labels make a difference in their lives, if you're going to follow a reverend or a doctor, who are you choosing to follow? And what? Neither of them know anything about the shit.
Right,
Not really.
yeah. Neither one has
but
a
when
clue.
you hear the
Yeah.
word reverend and the word doctor, who do you think of as the smart person that you're going to follow?
See,
Like, so
I
you
have a
gotta
problem
wa-
with that because I've known enough reverends and doctors. I don't know which one of those
No,
idiots I
exactly.
would pick.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like, you can be just as smart as a reverend or as a doctor. It doesn't matter. But those labels are going to start kicking in, especially when you're panicking and you don't know who to follow in order to survive the next few hours.
Sorry, Reverend, I'm going with Hulk Hogan.
I'm going with
yeah.
Burt Reynolds. That's what I'm going with that TV.
To me, there'd be a litmus test. If the deck is angled downward, I'm not going that way.
Mm-hmm.
If it's angled upward, I will continue to go that way.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you have experience with that from Strike Zone, where your submarine was tilted like at a 90
That's true. We
degree
did some angles and dangles
Yeah,
in that
that-
one.
I
That's for sure.
suppose.
Yeah.
So you know what that feels like. Most people
Yes.
don't.
Well, and I just can't watch this though without feeling honestly sad that we don't get movies with actors of this caliber. And they're not, I know we said, it's got 5 Academy Award winners in it. And that's true. But
They're all
Roddy
great
McDowell,
ones.
Roddy McDowell wasn't an Academy Award winner, but Roddy McDowell's a better actor than anybody acting today.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well, that's the thing we brought up on Sleepy Hollow is the fact that you've got Jeffrey Jones and Michael Gough and all of these people who, and that is a thing.
wasn't
that
Peter Cushing in? Not Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing wasn't in that movie.
I thought there was another Hammer guy in that. Maybe not.
There are lots.
That's
but
irrelevant.
it doesn't matter. So, but you have all these really powerhouse actors in pretty much supporting roles.
Yeah.
So, and that just doesn't. It's like you were saying, Jason. Not only are we running out of movie stars these days, just even for one leading man or
Yeah.
one leading lady or whatever, we don't get this many powerful actors supporting them either.
I mean, you look at people like, like Roy Scheider, like oh god,
And those kinds of-
Dustin Hoffman,
Yeah. Oh man, Dustin.
old Al Pacino. Al Pacino today is not Al Pacino.
He's mellowed out quite a bit.
He's
the
started
same
being
age.
Al Pacino. Al Pacino.
I don't see his character anymore. I see
Yeah,
Al Pacino.
you see Al
Kind of like Ben
Pacino, yeah.
Affleck on the screen. Like when Matt Damon's a character, I see that character. When Ben Affleck's on the screen, I just see Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like Gene Hackman. If Gene Hackman was starting out today, or Ernest Borgnine, probably a better example, he would not be considered an actor. He would be considered a character actor. Because I noticed that maybe 10, 15 years ago, you started seeing people referred to as character actors, but it seemed like those were just good actors, like Bob Balaban or James Rebhorn. Like these are guys, Bob Balaban could be a star in Poseidon Adventure. James Rebhorn, same thing, God rest his soul. But they're called character actors, and it seems to me like the qualification for being a character actor is just being a good actor.
Yeah.
As opposed to the people
As
who are
opposed to being-
stars.
Right. And they just fit a very specific mold, like the
Yeah.
Tom Cruises or the Rocks of the world. They're not really stretching their
Chris
acting
Hemsworth.
chops. Yeah.
They're leading men.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're leading men.
Yeah.
These folks fall out of that swim lane a little bit.
As opposed to like the Megan Mullally's of the world, who would be an awesome supporting character in a movie like this. I could totally see her, being even kind of a Shelley Winters.
Where is the middle-aged, slightly overweight woman who could be Shelley Winters? Who's she today? I don't. The only one, Essa Bertha Mackison.
I don't know who that is.
What's
what's
what's the woman's last name?
Melissa McCord.
Melissa McCord.
Melissa McCarthy.
McCarthy.
I don't
From Brad
know.
Pitt.
She'd put a funny spin on it. That's for
She
sure.
would, but she's a little too much too at the same time.
She's not a great.
I was thinking of somebody before you said that. It's hard.
She's not a dramatic. She's a comedic.
Yeah, she's a
actress.
comedic actress.
Yeah, I've never seen her in anything serious. That's true. Except for Gilmore Girls was quasi. That's probably the closest thing she's gotten to doing anything serious. She was still a kooky character on that show, but she still had some poignant moments.
Yeah.
But I think she could make it happen.
But also too with scripts. I mean, the script isn't there. I mean, you look at a scene like this where you have the Reverend is literally he's giving up. He's quitting.
he's not giving up.
Yes, he is.
No, he said we've passed a bunch of other passages and we're gonna look until we find
but
one.
he doesn't feel that way until he hears her voice. He is giving up.
Okay.
He doesn't have a single line that says it. There's no dialogue. But Gene Hackman
And you're right. They
totally
diverged quite a
conveys.
lot.
Yeah. But when he hears her voice, then it's no. We passed a bunch of corridors. We're gonna go down every damn one until we find our way to the engine room. It's like
And that shows his own crisis of faith because he's
Yes.
more than willing to put himself on the line for others. But if it just came down to him, because he even tells her at one point, because he does find a hatch, and he's like, "Listen, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer." No, I'm kidding. But he does tell her, in all seriousness, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, let Rogo know to do things his way and that I
Yeah.
was wrong. And she was like, no, but you're gonna come back, right? And he goes, yeah. I'll be back. And as soon as she starts panicking, he calms down. Oh, Sylvester Stallone. Would we follow him out of this crisis?
no,
No.
no,
If you ever did
no.
porn, I'm not following you anywhere. Sorry.
I'm gonna go ahead and be controversial and say
yeah, and they're like holding hands. It's kind of inappropriate.
I don't think so.
It's platonic on his side.
Yeah, I think obviously she's
got some more feelings going on than he does. Yeah.
It's
And it's no offense, but it's Gene Hackman, and I'm not saying he's not a good-looking man, but he's not leading man.
he's
handsome.
every man. He's every man.
He's a Procter
Yeah.
and Gamble
That's
guy.
true.
Well,
Yeah.
she's a lot like what was the Clint Eastwood movie where he played the ghost preacher?
Ghost Dad.
Crap.
Ghost
Not
Preacher.
Pale Rider. Or shit, was it Pale Rider? The one with the mining town where Clint Eastwood shows up.
High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter.
High Plains
about to say,
Drifter.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
no
We're
idea
talking
what you're
oldie
talking
timey.
Yeah, and
60s.
the young girl, like she totally
yeah.
falls for him.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like
Age inappropriate.
That's a pretty common theme in
Yeah.
a lot of movies, though. Like Beautiful Girls, another Timothy Hutton film where Natalie Portman's like 13 and she's in love with him and he's like 30 or something.
she had kind of a history with that.
Did you?
We actually,
Need to
on
take
that
another
note,
break.
the clock is telling me that we have to take a break. So we are going to be back in about 2 seconds. What a twist.
No.
Okay, so here's the thing that I find wildly unfair about this movie, and I guess it's a good thing because it's just like life. It's completely chaotic and completely unfair sometimes. Noni, the most useless character of all characters, gets dragged through the entire ship by Red Buttons, who's just suddenly very heroic. He was the one who, was not likely to take a wife. And now he's dragging this poor girl across the entire ship. And you find, especially when they have to cross 35 feet of water, he's not going to leave her behind no matter what.
Well, I think,
And she survives.
Well-
I think in the back of his mind, he's like, I'm going to get some at the end of this if this all works out.
I see. I'm
It
actually.
must have been quite a dry spell for him if he's really worried about that right now.
Maybe it's just me being sort of naive, but
He's really dead. Yes,
I don't think that's what he's thinking. I like to think that Red Buttons is really.
a little more
like-
genuine.
Here's what I imagined whenever I saw this, and particularly in this scene that we're watching now, where they're in the barber shop and she's saying,
She slips
I don't
out
want
of
to
her
go
shop on
on.
occasion because she still
Yeah.
hasn't grasped that her brother's actually
Yeah,
dead.
and he's saying, like, we have to go on. You think you can't, but you will. And I thought, okay, is it plausible Red Buttons was married to a woman or was with a woman?
Yeah, you did mention
And
this
they-
earlier.
and-
He's clearly
well-
experienced some loss or something in his past.
What if Red Buttons' whole character was that he was married to somebody, they had a baby girl, the girl died, wife left him, marriage broke up, or maybe something happened to wife too, maybe she killed herself. He's looking at Noni, and you can almost see this. He's looking at Noni, and it's like his chance to save this girl.
Excuse me while I go weep in the corner.
Well, no,
Hindsighters.
but that's the thing, though. That's the thing about a movie, a script that's well written. Because do I have any basis for that? No.
You could play with it though because there's so much insinuation. There's not a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Because if you
And
say
that's a creative mind right there.
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, it just is.
That's why he's the director.
How pretty is that?
I know,
though?
yeah.
And
You know,
we're just the
yeah.
actors.
Oh, stop it.
I do what he tells me.
And I was
I don't
also
need to know
thinking,
about your weekends.
and also when Robin goes into the bathroom, and that's when when he's attacked by the mayor or the
The mayor.
no what was the thing in Rick and Morty? Remember when they were in the
Oh,
the-
Mr.
the bee,
Mr. Jellybean.
Was it Mr. B?
Hello,
Oh my
how are you today?
Just let it happen.
just let it
I'm on a Poseidon adventure. Is it a fun adventure?
That was a
I'm on a
disturbing.
Poseidon adventure.
It's gone a little off the rails. Isn't that what adventures do? You're welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for bringing that into the.
Yes.
Mr. Jellybean. Let them remember him as the jellybean that he was. Let us remember Gene Hackman as the reverend that he was. Not nearly.
I'd
as
go to
creepy.
Gene Hackman's church. I'd go
I
to
would
I'd go
too.
to that church.
Especially after, because I love him in The Birdcage too. Like I've never seen Gene Hackman in anything that I've not liked him in, and that's a rare thing.
Even Superman.
Yeah.
He was even
Lex
great.
Luthor.
Yeah, Lex Luthor. He was great. I can't think of a single movie with Gene Hackman that I didn't genuinely like.
Quick and the Dead. I mean, come on.
No, all of them. He's
Everything that he's
very
in,
versatile.
gold.
Yeah.
Which is funny considering he's not really versatile as far as accents, as far as his look. He's not a chameleon, but somehow he fits in every role that he's in, despite how different they are.
He takes on that character. He
really
becomes, and that's the thing. 1972. We're at the beginning of what would sort of later be known as the New School.
the Jack Nicholson and
Chinatown.
Corman's College kind of
Chinatown. Crap, the one with Dustin Hoffman, like Marathon Man.
your favorite movie of all
Yeah,
time.
one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah, there was just this sort of resurgence of real proper actors movies where you had these character actors who would just go in there
Mm-hmm.
and they would commit so hard.
Well, and you have to wonder if method acting really came about as just sort of the whetstone, the competition that each of them were facing, because there were so many talented people in the industry at this time. And to this day, where you get your Christian Bales, who he'll go out in the desert and starve himself for 3 days for a role. Like, it's crazy.
And Christian Bale is, I mean,
he's a phenomenal
he's
actor.
legitimately a very good
Yes,
actor.
he's very talented.
Well, I've always said that movies, you can judge the health of the movie industry from the quality standpoint by the health of the theater scene in New York.
Okay.
Because the theater scene in New York is today garbage. It's absolute garbage. Whereas in 1972, you had all kinds of theaters with all kinds of talented actors, big actors, small actors, whatever. And they were doing all of these really just powerful plays. Sometimes they weren't powerful. Sometimes they were just good. Sometimes they were just funny.
Well, it's kind of like how
Neil
comedians
Simon,
go to local comedy stores to cut their teeth on new material and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's how actors used to stay sharp, is actually staying in the theater scene.
Yeah. And it was, well, like, you saw Ernest Borgnine on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, are you going to go see Christian Bale in a little play somewhere?
So I got to see Alan Ruck and the producers, Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and that was a real treat. So I think that's honestly how they keep themselves sharp.
Yeah.
Because going back to even what you were saying about filming in sequence, Jason, that's one of the things that I believe Alan Rickman said about the difference, because they asked him, do you prefer movies or do you prefer plays? Or maybe it was Colin Firth. I cannot remember who said it. But they said...
Both great actors.
They were like, it's all about whether or not you're more comfortable with sequence or not. Because the thing with sequence in a play is that, it's the same events that happen over and over, but it's 3 hours worth of material that you have to have in your head all at once. Whereas with a movie, you can stop and cut and take a break and do this. It's just different.
Well, and that gulf gets bigger and bigger every year. When you have... What does the actor aspire to? If you're a 20-year-old actor in Hollywood, what do you want to be? Let's be honest. You want to be you want to be in the next Avengers. You want to be in the next big, huge blockbuster where you're the big star. How much acting is there in the Avengers? Not very much. It's a fucking comic book movie.
Yep.
Not dissing comic books, but let's be honest.
No, they're their own thing, but especially once you start doing ensembles where you see Chris Pratt for maybe 10 minutes the entire movie, and Chris Hemsworth for another 10 minutes the entire movie. It just cuts down on their screen time, and
and it's not a slight against any of them. I mean,
they're all awesome.
Could Chris Pratt be Gene Hackman? Possibly.
I think he could.
He possibly could. Who else was? Who else was in the Avengers? That Captain America, the guy who
Chris
played,
Evans.
Chris
They're
Evans.
all named Chris.
Could Chris Evans be? Possibly.
I think he's trying to. He's quit Captain America and he's doing
He just
some
did that
dramatic
Knives Out
roles.
movie. I don't really know anything about it.
I want to see that. Though.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Well, it's got Daniel Craig in it. Doing
so
a
your man Crush,
horrible- a horrible Southern accent.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's so like Ewan McGregor's kind of the same way, and I adore him, but he seems to be aware of it. Like he does almost a Forrest Gump kind of Southern accent when he has to put one on for a movie. It's so. Yeah.
I kind of get the impression Daniel Craig was doing the same thing in Knives Out. And I haven't seen it, but I get that impression.
Because I mean, even like your Channing Tatum's, the sex symbols of today or whatever, could they be the Gene Hackman in this movie?
I don't think so. I think that for too many people, and maybe it's in the olden days you had like the Stella Adler and the what was the other one? Stella. It was
Lee Strasberg.
Lee Strasberg.
Yeah.
And
Meisner.
Yeah, and that was all about being human, and it was if you're acting, you're being a different human.
Yeah.
Right.
And movies today, the humanity, and I sound like an old fart, I know that, but I feel like
old man Jason.
Well, yeah, I feel like the humanity is what's missing. I want to see characters who are being human beings in situations and dealing with them and reacting to them. That's one of the reasons why I love this movie, because that's what it is. These are normal humans. There's not a superhero in the bunch.
No,
there's not an action star in the bunch.
Gene Hackman goes out of his way to rescue everybody, but it's like you're saying, he's not the superhero.
Yeah.
He's the leader.
Yeah.
But, he still gets stuck underneath a metal sheet and he has to be saved by a grandma.
Yeah, and you know what? As much as people talk about, well, Hollywood and Me Too, and we're all socially woke and all that. I don't see them doing a scene
Just
where
hear you say woke.
yeah, you heard
Oh
me.
God.
No,
That's the first time I've
'cause
ever heard you say
they're,
that.
They're all social justice, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
I don't see them doing a scene where Shelley Winters, the overweight grandmother, saves everybody's life. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think they're trying to find a line between, what's appealing and what's, still riding that line where there's some humanity involved.
I
And
suppose.
I imagine that's where the script writing really gets stuck.
Well, the script writers, most of the screenwriters suck nowadays because of a very simple reason. It's that they didn't read. You can't write unless you read a
true.
lot. A lot. And it's not cherry picking the things that, make you feel good and agree with you. You got to go out and you just read stuff.
Yeah.
When I, again, old fart, but growing up, I read so much pulp crap, pulp detective novels, pulp science fiction, pulp whatever. You've got to sink your teeth into what's out there and then find your own voice. And I think too many people are sort of having their voices given to them.
Well, either that or they're sticking with one genre and one genre only. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like, Fantastic Beasts or Harry Potter type stuff. I like detective stories, and so that's all they read. Like, I only read John Grisham, or I only read this author, or I don't like. So when people, they're basically allowed to choose a specialty and stick with it, and then they come off really one-dimensional.
Yeah.
When they try to write something, because they're just mimicking the exact same stories that they've seen by
yeah,
Dan Brown or John Grisham or whomever.
Yeah. Well, and it's so weird because so many authors that we think of today, like Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Mm-hmm.
Burroughs is held in pretty high regard nowadays. Burroughs was a pulp writer. Everything he ever wrote was pulp.
Right.
He literally lifted whole paragraphs from one book, put them in another book. But there was still this foundation of things that he had read as a kid. People used to read poetry. People used to read, Yeats
And Shakespeare.
And Shakespeare. And now I think that we're sort of cutting loose from that foundation. You're starting to lose that, or we have lost, I think, that sort of human commonality that really spoke to everybody.
And not just that, but somebody's ability to write multiple personalities. So, like, especially in a movie like this, you, at some point, if this movie was rewritten again and remade again today, Rogo would probably be a Chris Pratt type, and he'd punch Gene Hackman in the face at some point. Yeah. They never boil over like that with each other.
They don't.
They kind of like, grab each other's shirt and get mad at each other for a second, but then that's really where it stops. It's a realistic balance of how all of these personalities would weigh in together.
I want to go back just a second.
Please do.
At
the pinnacle
the scene where Shelley Winters dies, and pay attention. Shelley Winters, look at her face.
Yes.
She has this sort of happy expression on her face. She says, "Life matters very much."
Because she's echoing those words back to Gene Hackman. Yeah.
And then she looks almost angry. Like she's thinking of the fact she's never going to see her grandchild. Yeah. And then she just gives up. And then her face almost looks, peaceful. You got three emotions with not a lot of dialogue.
No, she pulls it off masterfully.
Yeah, and then Gene Hackman with this fantastic.
Oh God, this is where I started
he's
to well
drooling.
up.
He's
drooling.
He is there. He's in it. Yeah.
And just not this woman. Like not
this woman. Not this woman.
Well, and he's talking to the maker right there. His boss.
When I was in high school, we watched John Malkovich's Death of a Salesman.
Ooh.
And if you ever get the chance to watch that, it is. If you want to see somebody,
just
snot
genuinely
flying, tears.
Yeah.
John Malkovich, he's another guy. You don't really see him too much anymore.
He's kind of backed off.
Yeah, he really has. He's another great actor.
I think he's kind of gone the route where he makes appearances now instead of spearheading his own projects, because it's what the Matt Damons of the world discovered. They can make $10,000 for one day's work, or they can travel halfway around the world and shoot a movie for a year and a half, or however long it's going to take.
Why would you?
Yeah, and so it makes more sense to make a short appearance. But yeah, we are getting to some even more poignant moments. So Gene Hackman, he's sitting there with Shelley Winters, and then Rogo actually does come looking for them. So that's he has these little redeeming moments.
Yeah, 'cause
even though he's a jackass throughout the entire rescue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, anybody who's ever been in a group of people, working to achieve a common goal,
Yeah.
There's personalities.
yeah, and there might be,
And somebody said this about 2020. They were like, the only way we're going to solve all the problems in 2020 is to work as a group. And God, this is why I freaking hated group projects in school, because not everybody's pulling their weight. So, and it's
well,
funny.
the difference between real life and group projects in school is you don't get to pick who you're working with.
You don't get to pick in school either. Your teacher typically
That's
assigns
what I
it
mean.
random. Oh, okay.
No, in school you're kind of stuck with those people, but in real life,
you can be like, I'm out.
Yeah,
you guys suck.
yeah, I mean, I feel like if we were on a cruise ship together and it flipped over, I think we'd
we'd
make
band
it
together
out.
pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's so funny you say
Although
that.
I would have
because
gone out a window and gone up the side of the ship.
swim.
Just me.
If you can, if the pressure lets you break the glass. I mean, if the glass isn't already broken, I guess.
At a
So,
certain point, you're going to find water
yeah, that's true.
and then
swim.
go up.
We go down to get up, just like they said in Deep Blue Sea. And that's kind of what they're doing. But it's funny that you bring that up, Jason, because we started watching this show on Netflix called The Floor Is Lava.
Oh,
Have y'all
I
seen
saw,
this?
I saw
a
it.
preview.
earlier.
So you would like it. It's
Because kids love that. Everything is lava when
it's
the kids,
all strategy, and it's literally like a room filled with actual liquid that it looks like magma just blowing.
There
up
was an
and-
episode of Community where they did that.
Oh no, not here, not now.
Hey yo!
When Donald Glover left the show, yeah.
Yeah, and then he comes back with that pizza, and everything has fallen into chaos. But
No.
I've just seen a meme where he's
No.
like carrying a box or something. I still haven't watched it on Insiders.
No.
But no, if you watch The Floor Is Lava on Netflix, it's all about strategy, and you have to jump from this obstacle to that one, and pull this rope to create this drawbridge, and we sit there strategizing like, would we be able to get this obstacle course down? I think we could do it.
Family
Absolutely.
fracas.
Yeah, the family fracas.
But-
Bob's
but-
Little Rat's Nut.
But by the way, just bearing in mind the fact that they did shoot this in sequence,
Yeah.
how awful was it when you showed up on set and you were Ernest Borgnine and you had to put that shirt back
That soppy
on?
ass shirt. Yeah. That's like when you're at the pool during the summer and you've already jumped in and out and your towel is soaked and you've got to dry off with that soppy ass towel.
Why am I
Ugh.
even wasting my time?
Yeah, it's like
And actually, what kind of T-shirt is that? It's
I
not
don't
even. It's not even a what?
It's a
like a
Gaston
super
shirt.
V.
Yeah, it's a super V.
The super V. It goes all the way down to his belly button, the
well,
V-neck.
he is married to a prostitute half his age, so I think he's trying to really show off his muscular.
Hey, he's got guns.
He does.
He's
That's
got
what I'm
guns,
saying.
yeah,
He's trying to dress
yeah.
like Popeye and show off how muscular he is.
Me, I would prefer. I want to wear the tuxedo the Red Buttons has with the frills.
Yes.
all down the front. That right there.
Kind of what Red Buttons is.
Yeah,
wearing.
yeah.
It was once white, I believe. Now
Yeah,
it's in dark gray.
Yep.
But he still has his tie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He still has
He has
his
not
tie.
taken his time.
No, yes.
And you have to admire a former prostitute wife here because she is in panties and a blouse and
Oh, look, she's
platform
trying-
heels.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Now I know why I love this scene.
I did actually wonder
I'm
several
sorry, but
times.
it's true.
And Darth, you can explain this to me.
What?
Okay, because I'm thinking if I was either the former prostitute or the 18-year-old girl, and I know I've had that dream before.
I've only been one of those things.
A prostitute? You've been
Oh,
been
the
18.
18.
The
Okay.
18-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Easy, Mr. Brown.
Specifically when you see them walking on like a grate and they've got heels on, could you like snap the heel part off of the shoe?
You could, but then the shoe is still going to be at an angle because
So
it's
your toes would be
your
like-
toes are still going to have, they're kind of flattened out like that to accommodate for the fact that your toes do bend in a heel shoe, and then it's still on an incline.
So you're screwed.
Yeah, I would go barefoot before I would take the heels
See,
off.
but
yeah.
I was thinking that, but then
Before I
I'm
would
thinking,
snap the heels off.
okay, but barefoot, then you've got
Oh, there's
sharp
Metal and
things,
debris,
a lot of
so-
super
you know,
sharp
you're in a
things,
you
hot
know,
things.
yeah, John McClane kind of situation.
In
you
any
know?
case where you can, what is this, a broken glass factory? No, but in any case that you can have anything between your feet and metal grating or any,
Keep the shoes.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
try to
keep the
keep the shoes
shoes.
as long as you can. But in tall shoes like that, she actually has like these clunkier heels because I thought about that. I was like, wouldn't you fall through the grating? And then I
Yeah.
saw how thick the heels were.
Oh.
And they're thicker than the grating. So,
Okay.
because women think, like, that was why Jurassic World was such an unholy, unmitigated disaster, with Bryce Dallas Howard running around in white high-heeled shoes, running away from dinosaurs at full speed, and you're like, you got to be freaking kidding me. There's no way in hell she could do that.
Noni at least has boots on.
Yeah, Noni's fine.
And
She's
those
in
boots are
flats.
made for...
Walking.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Not for
swimming.
swimming, because she can't swim.
She can't swim.
She can't swim.
I can't swim. Of course you can't swim. Of course you can't.
Let me see how useless she needs to be on our skill set show where we teach her different things.
Imagine Red Buttons going, you know what, I'm done.
out.
I'm
Yeah.
out. And
I have
just diving in the
reached-
water.
You stay right here. I'll be back.
And then
Gone.
Noni sits there and a dinosaur just eats her.
It's like, oh, what's that movie? O'Connell, what are we gonna do in The Mummy? What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Wait here. I'll go get help. And then he just leaves. Bye, Noni.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have Jack Albertson quietly celebrating now that Shelley Winters is his scene partner.
Yes. The next week of shooting, I don't have to deal with her anymore.
Yeah.
And the prostitutes
So
from Winter Pains.
let's discuss how the movie wraps itself
Yeah,
up.
because it's about to end. So
God, the legs. I'm sorry.
on the 18-year-old.
18.
She was 18.
She
really
said it,
18.
She said it specifically in the interview that I saw. She said, I was an 18-year-old girl, and I couldn't believe that these old people were doing all these stunts. They nearly killed me.
She called them old people.
Well, you know, I mean, come on.
Gene Hackman was 42.
Yeah.
There was a 20.
In 1972, he was 42.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman's been around for a while.
He has
Yeah.
been. Jeez. It's like how I told you Morgan Freeman's in his 80s the other day, and you were like, "The hell he is!" And I was like, "No, he really is."
But
It's
time means nothing to him.
he's God.
Yeah.
He's immortal. But so yeah, we've got a couple of more quick deaths coming up, unfortunately.
But wait. Speaking of that, I got to tell you, you know, when you watch oldie-timey movies, you know, like with Spencer Tracy and Humphrey Bogart, you expect those actors to be dead, right? Because you grew up with them dead.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are fantastic, and 95% of them are gone.
I know.
And that was the most heartbreaking part of this movie when I watched it again. It's just all this talent. I mean, even Borgnine held on till he was 95, and that was 2012 when he died.
It's like finding home videos of you know old relatives and stuff, and it's like no, they're not supposed. There's
No, don't ever leave, please.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Noni is even dead.
Is she?
Really?
Yeah, she died a couple years in 2016, I think.
Lord.
Noni died.
Ironically enough, Gene Hackman's still alive.
Yeah,
Even Roger Ebert, who gave this movie
Roger
so much
Ebert's
guff,
dead,
is
yeah.
dead too.
Yeah.
Oh God, but Gene Hackman's still with us.
Siskel's dead too, isn't he?
Siskel's been dead for longer.
Siskel
than
and
Ebert.
Ebert
died
both
before
dead.
Siskel
Ebert.
died
Yeah.
a while ago. But yeah, but we do still have Gene Hackman, so let's hang on to him. But it is funny because I had this old, especially when you go on Facebook and your memories pop up and you get to see stuff that you posted in the past. I always post this video of Robin Williams doing his bit about the American flag on July 4th, and it still hits me every time I see a video or a clip or anything of him that he's not with us anymore. So it's hard to look at all these actors and stuff that you grew up with, even Burt Reynolds, because I grew up watching his movies. Like,
No, it's getting ridiculous. I think the one there's two that are going to get me. One is Harrison Ford,
yeah,
because let's be honest, he's in peak shape.
But he's in his 80s, right?
But he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
I mean,
What about Jack Nicholson? I never thought he would ever
yeah.
die.
yeah.
Yeah. And then there's
Alan
Keith
Rickman,
Richard,
that's
who we
a
don't
tough
have to
one.
worry about.
Alan Rickman went way too
way too
Yeah.
early.
way
Yeah.
too early.
Was he 60 yet?
I don't.
He was in his 60s.
He was
when
in his
died.
60s.
Yes.
Okay.
But I can't tell you exactly what integer it was, but he was definitely in his 60s. when
Hey,
he
we still
passed.
got Clint Eastwood. He's
We
still
do.
making movies.
And his mother is still alive, isn't she?
See,
No.
Look that up. His mother is well over 100.
Really?
Check it out. Yeah.
I'll find
She,
out.
if she
I
died,
could see that.
He brought his mother to the Academy Awards like 5 years ago.
I could.
Yeah,
hey,
but she could have died. in the
She may
interim.
have. I haven't
well,
been
because
following her closely, but
she's Clint Eastwood's fucking mom.
that's right.
She
You
gave
know.
birth to a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I raised that son of a bitch.
Okay. Ruth Wood. Yeah, it's not listing a death date, so it looks like she's still with us.
Yeah, we'll find
Holy
it.
shit.
She was. It's saying years active, so
Well, if she's still alive, then.
yeah, it looks like she is.
And on that bombshell. No,
Uh,
just kidding.
All right.
yeah.
See, ones that will hit me in the future. The day Johnny Depp dies, you guys just don't come looking for me. I'll be hiding underneath a porch somewhere.
I think if Johnny Depp dies early, it'll be his own doing.
No, he's been clean and healthy for.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think Johnny Depp's fine unless
Unless he goes off the deep end
Yeah,
and something happens.
yeah. I mean, like-
Robert Downey Jr. sort of the same thing, but he's
he's not old. He's not.
No, they're the same age.
Yeah. How old are they?
Johnny just turned 57.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
And RDJ is
They're young.
about the same age. So, yeah. But anyway, those those will probably hit me hard when
I
and
mean-
if that happens, if I don't suddenly go. Before
Yeah,
them.
I mean, I was in Asheville on vacation, and Harry Anderson lived in Asheville, and it was like, oh, the news came out, Harry Anderson died. And it's like, no, he didn't. He couldn't have. Not Harry Anderson. He's too young.
And people get so they're so trigger happy on social media. Somebody was like, "Oh my God, Gene Wilder just died," and I was like, "Gene Wilder has been dead for a while now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What the
I
hell are
know.
you talking about?"
Gene Wilder was actually considered for the Red Buttons part.
Oh, I could see
Yeah.
that. Oh,
yeah.
he'd
Gene
be
Wilder
good.
was the original choice for the Red Buttons
I
character.
could really see
Yeah.
him talking her through the grief thing too, because he was one of the actors like Rick Moranis, who's
Oh,
on his
yeah.
way back to Hollywood. Actually, is what I'm hearing. But it was a similar situation. Both their wives died at different times, and so they just backed away from acting for a while.
Well,
But,
you know, we could spend an entire episode talking about
We-
the,
we really
the
could. We
Gilda
could spend an
Gilda
entire day.
Ragnar.
Well,
Gene
Jack
Wilder.
Albertson and Gene Wilder back together again. It would have been.
Oh,
I
that
think that would
would've
have
been
been.
great.
It would have been a little
yeah.
much.
There was
so.
a lot of crossover between like several of the ladies on this show were on Fantasy Island, different episodes.
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
were on
yeah,
Fantasy
yeah.
Island. They were on the Love Boat.
Well, because that was the
so-
thing back then. You had like this sort of
Love
universe of
boats.
actors, and you know, you would tune into whatever show, and oh, look, it's Buddy Hackett's on this episode.
It's Horseshack,
Yeah.
Ron
Yeah.
Palillo, right?
Yeah.
On the Love Boat.
You're right, Jason. The 18-year-old is in heels too. So I know y'all are hating this angle that you
I-
can see her
I-
from
I-
right now in
I'm-
those
I'm-
shorty shorts. But
God, the legs on her.
She's got long legs.
Yes.
well, and 70s shorts would sort of promote your legs like that because they were higher up on your waist.
God
and
bless
they
the
were- they were shorter.
1970s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So on that pervy note, gentlemen,
she's legal,
um,
and it was 1972.
God.
So she was 18 7 years before I was born. So
So you're
I'm
well
fine.
in the clear. You're fine.
I'm totally fine.
You're fine. So that's kind of like when I go back and watch like Newsies and Christian Bale is 14.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in reality, he's like 15 or 20 years older than I am.
Oh,
So
Henry V, Kenneth Branagh's Henry V, and there's
Mm.
this little annoying kid, and it's like, who the hell is that? Oh my God,
then
that's
you
Christian
realize-
Bale.
Yeah. Then you
Oh.
realize.
Oh.
So anyway,
So Gene Hackman ultimately sacrifices himself.
he does.
Yes.
He's the sacrificial lamb as the Reverend and saves the lives of the rest by because. And this is okay. So logistical question here. The steam starts pouring into the room where they're in, and it's blocking their way out. Yet Gene Hackman can sit underneath the really hot steam
Well,
and like close the hatch to stop it.
I will defer to the sailor on this one, but high pressure steam is
That
not
would rip the
steam.
flesh. It
Yeah.
would rip the flesh right off of his
yeah, and he's
bony
just sitting
hand.
there, and
Yeah.
he's not even
Yeah.
roasting. Like,
It's
just-
not the steam that comes out of your tea kettle.
No.
It's
No.
a whole different
No.
I
thing.
hate to ever invented.
In
steam.
fact, sometimes it's invisible, and if you're not careful, it could slice you right in half. High pressure steam,
Yeah.
you know, on the boat. I mean, if
So
you're,
the
Bad
completely
stuff.
unbelievable moment.
it's called you just
Suspension of disbelief.
That's what I was saying. Suspension of
Yeah.
disbelief. Because face it, if it was really high pressure steam, he would have jumped there. His hands would have been burned to a crisp. He would have fell to his death, and they would have all
Yeah.
died.
And he wouldn't have had time for that big long speech.
No,
about,
that's true.
like,
And the real sad part is he dropped into burning water that had oil on it. He could easily have lived through that.
that's what I thought. So when the wife falls
Yeah.
into the water too, as
No,
long
she
as you,
falls under the ground.
Yeah, she
Oh, I
hits
thought she fell
something.
in the water like
Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
Okay, my bad.
So and I was trained in the Navy. If you look up and there's burning water, you just splash, and it moves the oil away, and you jump
Yeah.
up, you splash, you go back under,
Or
it,
you can swim
splash.
away from it.
And
like,
he could have gotten away, but once again,
he could have gotten away with
He
it.
didn't have the
too.
training.
the script
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
script
he wasn't
said,
trained as a sailor.
You must
so,
die.
you know.
Yes.
And he had to make that sacrifice to save everyone else. So that makes sense.
And it is a hell of a scene.
It really is.
I mean, when he's turning that thing, and they've got what 3 angles on him.
Oh yeah.
You know, they've got the back, the front. They've got the close up on him. You know, turning it.
and he stopped. And this is something I remembered even to this day. He stops the steam, and he's just too weak to do anything else, and he just lets
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
He says his final bit, and then
he
just
tells
falls.
Rogo to get
Yeah.
them the
Yeah.
hell out of there, and
Yeah.
then he gives up his position as the alpha male and dies.
Yeah.
It's it's so poignant, and he's sitting there. How many more lives? How much more blood? How many more people are you going to take? Well,
See, they don't write dialogue like that
No.
anymore. That's what I'm saying.
And if you're going to take
Bell
anybody,
wasn't enough.
yeah, Bell
Akers
wasn't enough. If you're going to take another life, let it be me. And he goes
Yeah.
out of his way to save the rest of the people, and it's so sad because it is
Well-
whittled down so quickly from hundreds of people
Yeah.
to 6.
Yeah. Well, and it's like he's almost saving their lives as a giant fuck you to God.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, like I'm gonna save these people if you won't.
Mhm.
You know, and it's
Well, he's eating his own words too, because he's like the strong. Because what does he say that I wrote down? He says, "God loves winners. He doesn't like quitters," or something like that.
And if you can't win, try.
Try. Go. Make an effort at the very least. Because even when people were like, "Well, what's even up there that we're going to get to?" Even if we get to the top or the bottom, but technically top of the ship right
and
now.
he turns around to deliver his final line, hanging from that hand wheel. And of course, Pamela Sue Anderson's like, "You can get back. You can get back."
And he just
You can make it. Keep going. Oh
no. And
then just
he lets go. Wait, Rogo, get them through.
yeah.
And then
He drops. And like
Close
I said,
up. Cut to Rogo.
well, because
back
Rogo's
to
just had his
close-up,
flip out because
cut
his
to
wife,
Hackney,
there was an
cut to-
explosion, and the explosion, the vibrations
There he
knocked
goes.
her down onto the ground. Yeah, you're right, Adam. He definitely could have swam away from that hot oil.
yeah.
And now the sister's flipping out because
And-
he was like her guidepost through all of this, and
And
even
then-
Robin's like, "Sis, what are you doing? Stay
come
up
on."
here!" And Red Button smacks her in the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he gives her a smack.
Yeah, he's like, "All right, I need you to calm down."
You can't
Come
do
on.
that
Get the hell
anymore
up
either,
here.
can you?
No, you can't.
Well,
Well, it's like Cary Grant said. There's no right way to hit a woman. There's a lot of wrong ways.
I thought Sean Connery said
Well,
that.
no, he just lived it.
Or like Cronenberg, who smacked that woman in the face over and over again.
That-
Yeah, apparently you
that's
can. That was just a
Cronenberg.
thing in the 70s.
Yeah, that-
you
that's
could just
Cronenberg,
smack
yeah.
women in the face. But yeah, so now
Off to
Rogo's-
Seinfeld. What do you think? Is it time?
I'm gonna say because at the end of the movie they do the survivors then at this point make it to the thinnest part of the hull and they are rescued.
and get critiqued for it. Did
What?
So when the rescuers come to get them, didn't you save anybody else? Like it's just 6 of you. I was like, that's the first thing you say to these people who have just been through a nightmarish hellscape.
Well, because think about how weird that. How many 6?
Yeah, there were like 400 of us, but there are only 6 left.
More like probably
no.
1,000.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in this
Yeah,
cruise
probably
ship.
at least 1,000 people died.
That sucks.
Alf to Seinfeld, I'm gonna have to say like a 9.
Ooh, that even exceeded
Wow.
what I was gonna do.
Yeah, no, I liked it as a kid. I really enjoyed it, but maybe it's just me getting older. But I watched it last night and I loved it. I had tears in my eyes at the end.
Yeah, I welled
I
up a few times.
literally had tears in my eyes. The performances are so good as to make me sad. And I really could not have appreciated the fact that a sort of pulpy, actiony disaster movie could actually still be a really solid, good movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gonna, maybe not. I'm gonna say an 8.
That's
8.
That's what I'm gonna give it,
Okay.
an 8, because I enjoyed it as a kid, but it moved me this time. It really did. I loved it. And this is your first time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go solid 5 because I mean,
No-
I
no
enjoyed it for
reference,
what
yeah.
it was.
Yeah, there's
and
no, yeah.
It surprised I think I was really thrown off by Ebert's review of it because he was so snarky about it, but I genuinely enjoyed it as an actual disaster movie. I didn't look at it like it was cheesy or, low budget or anything
Well,
like that.
if you compare it to the other disaster movies, and it's almost not even fair to call it a disaster movie, because I mean, like, yeah, Towering Inferno, yeah, I really enjoy it.
It is a disaster movie though. Like it's
Yeah, it is. No, you're right. You're
no,
right.
it absolutely is.
But it's if you look at disaster movies, Poseidon Adventure really is, it's a cut above.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, as much as I love Charlton Heston, I
Yes.
love Charlton Heston,
Well, because
but it's different. It's a very different kind of performance.
and it's like you were saying off camera during one of our breaks. It's not an Arnold movie. You don't have the
Right.
guaranteed characters who are going to make it through. Like I said, I
Everyone's
was so pissed
fair
off
game.
when Noni made it and Shelley Winters doesn't and Gene Hackman doesn't make it. Oh my god!
Do you know what the sequel was originally supposed to be?
Do tell.
Because there was a sequel called Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, which was a huge flop, and it heralded the end of the disaster movie era. The original idea for the sequel, and I don't think it would have been good, but kind of interesting, it would have been the survivors of the Poseidon Adventure were summoned to the World Court at The Hague to testify, and they were going to put the Greek company on trial.
Huh.
While they were traveling there,
Oh no!
they were going to be traveling
On a Concorde?
No, it was actually on a train,
Okay.
and the train was going to be caught in an avalanche.
Oh, son of a bitch.
But wait,
Are you making
There's
this
more.
up?
no, I'm not.
Oh.
But wait, they were going to add, because you don't have Gene Hackman anymore, so
Right.
they needed somebody to be the sort of new Gene
Roguish
Hackman,
new Gene Hackman,
and it was going
yeah.
to be Yul Brynner. I know. I would have watched
I'd watch
it.
the hell out of
I
that.
would totally have
Oh, yeah.
watched that.
Oh man,
Yes.
I would absolutely watch. Oh
Yeah.
Oh no, even better. That would have been a great option. But Robin's grown now, and he's the new Gene Hackman. That would have been awesome.
That would work. Yeah.
So anyway,
Anyway,
I think
I think that was a solid pick for Disaster Month.
I do
Jason,
too.
Done.
Well done.
Yeah,
Well done.
I don't know where we go from here. I'm kind of worried.
So I've got a pick, and
okay.
then one of our favorite fans has made a suggestion, so we can
Okay,
talk about that
okay.
off camera. But Hindsighters, we do appreciate you tuning in as always. In our third movie where I'm in a sailor's hat of some sort. So we're gonna change it up for the next disaster movie that we do. It's not gonna be an airplane, and it's not gonna be a ship.
It'll be an oil rig.
I can tell you. Put on
Gonna
those
be a
big rubber
tunnel.
boots, kiss your favorite gal goodbye, and go fight some fire. But anyway,
Backdraft is actually a very serious thing, man.
anyway, I no, that's actually a line lifted from America's Sweethearts of all things. But don't worry about it. I'll tell you later. So. Thank you again for joining us. Our now third guest host. He's just here all the time.
He's not a guest host. He got promoted, didn't you? See the credits?
He didn't. I did.
I did. I'll see it when we post it.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
So-
you're promoted. You're.
You said no co-host instead of now co-host.
And which one?
I'd have to look it up. But
That works.
I
for
don't
me.
even.
I'd have to look it up. I'm the only one that pays attention to shit like this. But anyway, thank you for joining the three of us on our
Yes.
podcast, listeners, Hindsighters. We really appreciate it for you tuning in on your drive time, your listening time, your quasi-quarantine time, whatever time it is. We appreciate you. This has been Hindsight and